Welcome to DA Ex Machina, with your hosts, Naoma Finn, Steve Wildman Munrotis, and D.A. Roberts. Join us as we explore writing, books, authors, and all things horror. We will delve into the sightings, reports, encounters, and tales of monsters. We will also explore the writings of D.A. Roberts along with others in the horror genre. We will investigate the possibilities that monsters may not be safely locked away in the pages of books. They might just walk among us even now. Grab some popcorn and lock the doors. It's going to be a creepy journey. Welcome to DA Ex Machina.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of DA Ex Machina. Joining me is my partner in crime, Naoma. Steve, unfortunately, has to work on Wednesdays, so it's just the two of us tonight. And tonight we are going to be cracking open the gates of hell. So hope you guys enjoy the ride. It's going to be interesting to say the least. Naoma, how are you doing tonight?
Looking forward to our special guest. Could it be Satan?
Might be. Just might be. Let's just hope he doesn't mess with my connection, though.
He plays with my connection every time I get online. He likes to hear me say those bad words.
Well, it looks like we're already off to a heck of a start in the chat room. Good evening, folks. Good night. Good evening, Sal, Lanita, Josh. Thanks, buddy. Chris Miller. Good evening. Irene DeWitt. Hello, from Dothan, Alabama. Marshall Sirota. Hey, buddy. Alan J. Cogden, evening, sir. Lanita Bryant, hi, Marshall and everyone. Marshall Schroeder, hit that like button, y'all. Heck yeah, if you hit that like and subscribe button. We crested 850, which means we're heading for 1,000. We hit 1,000, there's no stopping us. And remember, we hit 1,000. I'm giving away a first edition of the first book of the Ragnarok Rising series. Hi, Marshall, hit that like button, y'all. Should be a hell of a ride. Thanks, Josh. Oh no, the gates. Irene says, hi, Naoma. Hi, DA.
Hello.
Travis Trump says, good evening, everybody. Papa Bear's in the house. Evening, y'all. I think I'm caught up. Hey, everybody. Hey, Todd. Thanks, guys, for being here. Like we said, we're going to be cracking open the gates of hell. Little did I even know that within just a few hours' drive of where I'm sitting right now is reputed to be the gates of hell, or one of them. Yeah, there are actually many places reported to be a gate to hell around the world, but we're going to be concentrating on the ones in the United States. Shockingly, there's more than you would think. If you're fans of the movie the series Supernatural, it's unfortunately not in the middle of Pentagon railroad tracks in a dead cemetery somewhere near Deadwood. It's not that. It's actually in Kansas, ironically, about 10 miles from the town where they're supposedly from, which is Lawrence, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
So the gate to hell is about 10 miles from Lawrence, Kansas, where the boys from Supernatural are from. So that's kind of funny.
My understanding is at one point they had planned on wrapping the series at the Stoll Cemetery.
That would have been cool.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened because I've never watched the series, but
Northwood says there's a town in Michigan called Hell. That's kind of cool. I've seen that. Every year Hell freezes over. Ryan Kirk says, hey, what's up? Joshua Jones says good burgers in Hell, Michigan. Huh. At least the food's good.
Yep.
Josh Dalton says, hey, everybody. Or, hey, give me Naoma and DA.
Hey, Josh.
Brenda says, DJ, you're awesome. Keep up the good work. So, which one do you want to talk about? Do you want to start with the one in Kansas, or do you want to end with the one in Kansas?
I think let's start with the one in Kansas because, we know a lot about Kansas.
Yeah, they're close enough to smell it. The damn the dang Jayhawks.
Yeah.
Missouri and Kansas have a long-standing feud.
Yeah. So my knowledge of this place in Kansas started in, I think, 2000. My son and I talked about this, and I think he said 2008.
Mm-hmm.
He was stationed at Fort Riley, and he was bored, and he and his buddies were bored, and they decided to take a road trip to the gates of hell. And so when he called me that night, I was like, "Where you been?" "I've been to hell, Mom." I was like, "You haven't even been to war yet, buddy." But, yeah. But anyway, and that's where I first learned about this place. And I didn't know much about it until
I'm sorry. This one cracked me up. It's RJ from Wyoming. This is a gate in West Yellowstone, Montana. I have dinner there every Sunday, the mother-in-law's.
Yeah.
Oh, that cracks me up.
I totally get that.
Okay, sorry. That one caught me off guard. I was watching the comments scroll by while you were talking.
So a little background on this cemetery. Apparently, the settlement Stull, eventually, it was originally called something else. Really something sweet and nice like Deer Park Hideaway or some silly thing like that. Was eventually named for Stull after the postmaster. And that's when Satan came in because he's like, "Yeah, I know where hell is. It's the U.S. Post Office."
It came by Pony Express.
Exactly. But they had built this church, and of course, around the church is a cemetery. And interestingly, there was apparently these people. I've read so many different things now where it's been so many different religious factions, but I believe they were Anabaptists. And there were a lot of members of their little group who were saying they were Christians, but they were really practicing witchcraft. And the Anabaptists didn't appreciate that, so they left one great big tree up out front, and that's where they decorated the tree with.
Hey, Ryan. Ryan from the Horror Chronicles is in the house tonight. Thanks, buddy.
Now, in all honesty, that could be a mix-up because there are apparently several headstones that say Widditch, Widdich, and that may have morphed into witch.
Could have.
But over time, the church was abandoned for a very long time until just a couple of short years ago. It was basically a shell, no roof, no windows, there were holes where the windows were. Yep, there you go, just like that. That's what it looked like. And if you notice, there are 3 windows on this side and the front door and a little window over the door. And then there are 3 matching windows on the other side. No window on the back. And there's a little guy hanging out in the tree there. He's your tour guide if you go there. But there were no windows in the back. But sometimes when people go there, they will see an 8th window, one in the back of the church. And they will also note that the windows aren't just openings, that they're actually windows and doors on the church. And I find it interesting that there's a door on the church there because there isn't a door, or there wasn't. But
that is there is a door there.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
I just noticed it. But they say if you see the 8th window in the back, that's a harbinger of doom, that something bad's going to happen in the area. So now do you want to talk about the gate?
Absolutely.
You go for it.
Well, the gate is located at the back of the cemetery. It's an old well, and they believe, what they claim about the well is that the devil himself will appear in the gate on the spring equinox and on Halloween. I almost said the wrong one. Yeah, you got me all mixed up there, Naomi.
This is my fault.
But that's just kind of the beginning of it, because a lot of weird stuff has happened there, right on those particular dates. The big tree that you see in the image. Let me bring that back up. That big tree was actually cut down on Halloween. I don't know what year, but it was cut down on Halloween. And the church itself,
a few years ago.
Yeah, just a few years ago. And the church itself was finally torn down to keep people from going in it and getting it hurt, because it was in pretty bad condition. But also to keep people from going in it trying to look for that eighth window. And it was torn down on the spring equinox, which is
they
really,
wouldn't
really
draw
bizarre.
attention to themselves at all.
Right. And that whole area of Kansas is just riddled with weird history. Just from everything from UFO sightings to ghost stories to, will o' the wisps. I mean, it's really a creepy area. When Naoma made the comment earlier that it was rumored that when the Pope was in the United States, he wouldn't even fly over that section of Kansas in his plane. So that might be just a hearsay, but it does make kind of a funny story. But people that go into the cemetery to get to that well, if you go in there looking to cause damage or anything, well, just understand that place is heavily patrolled by the Douglas County Sheriff's Department. If you're in that cemetery, even during the day, they're aware of it. And if you're in there at night, they're going to come and find out why you're there. So I would not go in there with any ill intent. Everything I've heard indicates that they're friendly, that the officers are friendly and easy to get along with. But if you go in there acting the fool, you're going to get taken out of that cemetery. So you use caution both in your approach and with the gate itself, because I have not been there, but I am planning a trip. We've actually already booked a hotel in Kansas City, because it's not very far from Kansas City. We're gonna make a trip of it.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Started to talk and I swallowed my tongue. Must be hungry. When you go there, there's a second cemetery, and I need to look it up for you, but it's very nearby. And the thing about the second cemetery is roughly half of the graves are of infants. And I don't know if it was a cemetery that was originally set aside for infants. Mm-hmm. But it is definitely roughly half the graves are, and some people think that the gate is actually in that cemetery. Mm. And I didn't have time to really research that, but I'll find out the name of the cemetery. I know it's very close by, and it might be one you want to stop by too.
Okay, I'll film it both. Yeah. We're also going to stop and film in Lawrence, Kansas, as kind of a tribute to Supernatural. So we'll shoot a video there as well. Josh Jones asks, so what came first, the events or the mystery of the devil appearing?
Well, I believe that the devil must have appeared. There was some kind of ritual going on, and there were some female witches, at least two, because he had a choice, and they called him up. He picked one to be his bride, had a baby with her. He's now a baby daddy. And the baby was something bad happened to the baby. Oh, this is awful.
Northwoods, you're not wrong, my man, but I'm still going there.
I think the baby was born with one eye, and stop talking about food, Papa Bear. It was deformed in some way. I know it was born with one eye, and from that point forward is when the devil is supposed to start appearing.
Oh yeah, the devil was definitely appearing way before the church was taken down and the tree. They were part of it.
Yeah, the cemetery goes back to the 1800s, and the church and the tree thing started occurring after that. The tree thing is supposedly the hanging tree where they hung the witches that they found within their congregation. So
Yeah, it's not a big town. I mean, when I say it's not a big town, it's like not even big enough for a Dollar General, and they'll drop them things anywhere there's more than 5 people. But
yeah,
it's still an unincorporated town. Was founded around 1857, and it's an old area with a lot of history. But the town has been notorious for being possessed by demonic forces ever since the 1970s. Is when the first claims started coming forward.
okay, there you go. So that's really, I mean, I'm really reaching at this point to remember everything I should know. Have I left anything out, Papa Bear? Papa Bear may not be listening.
May not,
Yeah.
but the Stoll Cemetery is really fascinating because of the gate to hell, the gate to hell aspect. But it really piqued my interest because it was so close to me, and I didn't know anything about it. I mean, it's literally like 3-hour drive. So I can't remember the date. What's the first part of October, like the 4th or 5th? We're gonna take a overnight trip. We're gonna go up, go shoot the videos, come back, spend the night in Kansas City. Hopefully get some Kansas City barbecue and then come back the next morning. Papa Bear says you're supposed to sit on the well. That's right. If you sit on the well at the right moment, he's supposed to reach up and drag you down to hell. So there'll be no sitting on the well by this fat guy because I don't run that fast and I don't want to get dragged down. Josh says, if you're allowed to be there at night, you should try to record some EVPs. I may try even during the day because I'm pretty certain that EVPs and the possible whisperings of ghosts probably know no time of day. What I'm going to do is I will put my electronic recording device on the edge of the well and then go back to the church and walk around the church a little bit, do some filming, then go back and get the electronic recorder, see if I've got anything, and then I'll probably repeat the process at the church.
I will say this. One of the videos I watched on this while I was actually studying another place, they had a spirit box. And frankly, I think a spirit box sounds just like they're running through the radio stations on a transistor radio. I was picking out songs I knew, okay? But they were getting very excited over the one of them said, go away. So they were getting some pretty good spirit activity. So if you've got the equipment, you might get surprised.
I don't have any great equipment. I just basically have a little personal like dictation. I used to record notes for the book on it, play them back and write them down. But I'm going to try that. I mean, it's got a really good mic on it. So hopefully I'll pick something up. Josh says, I only ever suggest night because 9 times out of 10, you deal with less ambient noise at night as far as other people and pollution. From the look of that area, I was looking at it on Google Maps. I'm going to guess my most ambient noise is going to be wind and cows.
Yeah, it's pretty desolate in that area.
Josh also says spirit boxes are still unverified yet interesting to use. Yeah, I don't have anything cool like that. I don't have any cool gear. I'm just going there with the camera. Basically, it's my cell phone. Because I've got a really good camera on the cell phone. It shoots pretty good videos. We're gonna go there and record with that. My son's got a really good camera on his phone too, so I may have him do some recording. And then I'll get with Josh and see if we can't compile these into one video or, look through them for any artifacts or anything like that. And I'm going to try the EVP with the little recorder. That's basically about all the equipment I've got. I haven't bought anything yet, although I may have to look into getting something. Josh says, I sent you a private message.
Cool. So
I actually have that app on my phone, Josh.
And it works like a spirit box?
It's called the Ghost Tube app.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've got it on my phone, and you can film video with it, and it's got different light filters. And I was playing around with it in the house, and I've said before, I think there's something in this house. We've thought for a long time. This crap will get moved, and we'll walk through the kitchen and all the cabinets are closed. You'll come back 2 minutes later and half of them are open. It's been like that since we moved in. But I was starting to film with that around the house the other day, and my wife goes, "Stop." I said, "Why?" She goes, "Because if something's down that hallway, I don't want to know." I'm like, fair enough. I'll go play with it in the backyard.
I have something that walks down my hallway. I just get glimpses of it walking past the door, and it always freaks me out. I'm convinced it's the lights from the passing vehicles, which would be really weird because we sit pretty far back and we have a lot of trees in front of our house. But that's what it is.
Gail says, I'm batting minus 1,000 on finding the books I want to listen to. Hurry and get them on Audible because I'd much rather listen to them and read them myself. I will talk to the people that are doing the audio for all of the books that were currently in production. But Naoma's doing one of them. She's doing the second Lakeview Man, and Cam Buckner from Dixie Cryptids is going to be doing the entire run of the Codename Wild Hunt and possibly Nightmare Hunter. I haven't talked to him about it yet, but I plan to. So they're coming. Just we're working on it. But unfortunately, audio goes slowly.
It does. That's what I was doing right before we got on tonight. I was recording audio.
How goes the intro that you're doing?
It's got to be edited, and that's actually I wasn't recording. I was editing. I have a bunch of stuff that I'm trying to edit. I have these issues with Adobe Audition that are making me a bit crazy, but I'm finding workarounds. And as I'm learning the workarounds, I'm getting faster and faster and faster at it. So just be patient with me. I'm getting there. And I haven't even, hurt anybody. So it's a good thing.
Well, Gail's excited. She said she can't wait. She loved Lakeview Man. So I think your narration for Lakeview Man 2 is going to be spectacular. And
Cool.
just a little taste. There are going to be some characters who are changed permanently in Lakeview 3. Something big is going to happen. So if you haven't read the other Lakeview books, check them out because Lakeview 3 is going to shake things up. It's going to affect characters in multiple series.
Clark isn't going to be Carla now, right?
No, nothing quite like that.
We're good then.
Josh says the guy who did Lakeview Man did a pretty good job. I just wish he would have done a little more editing of repeats. Yeah, but I liked his voice and I liked the cadence, the way he did it. He probably would have done the entire Lakeview Man series had he not had another job opportunity come up. Because I like the guy, really good narrator, did a good job. But he is a heck of a narrator. He just had an opportunity to go to work for a production company, and he's like, "You're not going to be upset at me." I'm like, "Dude, chase your dream, brother. Go for it." So that's why he only did the one. But we'll be seeing a lot more of the audio coming, hopefully in the very near future. Cool.
So, what else do you know about Stull, Kansas?
That's really about all I know. I mean, I haven't dug that extensively on it because I didn't want to just focus completely on that for this show because we have 3 others here in the States to talk a bit about. But the thing about Stull that really intrigued me so much is the fact that it was so close.
Yeah.
I'm not the most religious guy in the world. I'm a spiritual person. I'm not necessarily a religious person, if that makes sense. I do pray. I just, I'm not in any kind of orthodox that you could name. I'm me. We'll just put it that way. I'm me, and as weird as I am, I'm just who I am. But that being said, I'm not overly concerned about that being the actual gate to hell. I'm more concerned with the history and the legacy of it. But should I get something creepy on film, you can bet your ass I'm going to be really happy.
Yeah, I am a very religious person, but I don't believe any of these are actual gates to hell, but they certainly do have a lot of creepy stuff around them that make them very interesting. And I definitely think that I would like to make a visit someday to Helm Township in Pennsylvania.
That would be fun too.
Yeah, I think we could do an entire episode just on that. There's so much going on around there. I actually got a book on it and was reading it yesterday and today. Didn't get all the way through it, but we're talking murder, ghosts, cryptids, Satan, just lots of really, really amazingly bizarre things that go on in that area.
I love the history behind stuff like that and the accounts and all the weird crap that just kind of seems to coincide with it. Josh had the comment, maybe not the devil, but evil spirits are a thing, whether you're religious or not. I would say malevolent, otherworldly creatures. I truly believe in evil. I've seen evil, and I've seen evil in the hearts of people. After almost 20 years in law enforcement, I can tell you I have seen evil. I've looked it dead in the eye. And it's
funny. My ex-husband says the same thing.
I'm sure my wife probably would agree with you on that. But it's something, I believe evil exists, and there's no that's an unshakable belief. I've seen the darkness, and it's not just the darkness in people. I've seen some creepy crap in my life too. But I want to get to these locations and film, even if I don't capture anything. I want to bring these places to people who, like in my case, I never even heard of it till a few days ago. So I didn't know it was there, but I definitely want to get these places and profile them. Northwood says, thanks, DA, for lighting a fire in me to want to try writing in. I've only done that short story I sent you, but I have some ideas forming for something bigger. Dude, that was really good. That to me, that seemed like that would have actually been a scene I could have put straight into straight into a Codename Wild Hunt book, like a side scene. What was happening with the pilots on the plane that was bringing the ordnance, that would have fit perfectly in with the bombing run that happened in the Nightmare Hunter. So I could have easily seen that forming, just sliding in seamlessly. So you did a really good job. I think you've got some good writing chops. So definitely keep doing it. Josh says, evil energy can leave a mark that can last for a very long time, well after the one who originally manifested it. Oh, yeah. I want to do an entire show on the story surrounding the ruins of the castle at Hatonka State Park in Missouri. Because on the surface, it just seems like some rich, crazy old guy built a castle in the Missouri woods and it burnt down. But when you start digging into that and go beneath the surface, there is something verily Cthulhian about that whole situation. For example, the owner of the manor, when he died, he had in his possession the single largest collection of occult lore west of the Mississippi. And when he died, his family donated it to the University of Missouri at Kansas City. And they sealed it, and it is still not available for people to view publicly. And it's been in their possession almost 100 years.
Wow!
They sealed that collection and will not let people view it. I called up there to see if, hey, can I look at the collection? I'm like, no, that collection is unavailable. It's not allowed to be not allowed to be viewed. It's still what they told me that was still being cataloged. I'm like, 70, 80, 90 years later, it's still being cataloged. Well, it's completely unavailable. So I don't know what the hell was in that collection. But
the way that works is they send a student in to do it. They're there 3 weeks. They die.
Yeah, they
wait another semester.
And they're gone. They're like, I guess they quit school.
Yeah.
Send another one.
Next semester, they send in a new student.
Why do our interns keep leaving mysteriously?
Yeah. That's what happens when you do the work study program.
Irene says, Northwoods, you should write about what's in the Hiawatha National Forest. Heck yeah, I would read that. And then Northwood says, the damage that evil does can last a long time. Evil leaves a stain on a place that never fully goes away. And when true evil, and I'm not just talking, some guy that robbed a bank and shot somebody. I'm talking true evil, like your Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. When true evil manifests someplace, it leaves a stain that never really goes away, and that's the ripple effect that we feel years, even decades, even a century later or more. I mean, look at Salem. You know, the Salem witch trials. That still resonates with people even today, and that was 400 years ago, almost 500.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer always reminds me of romance. Yeah, I know. Strange. I like that look. No. When I first met my current husband, one of the first things he learned about me was that I like to study serial killers. I have lots of books on them, and I watch all kinds of movies on them and shows on them and things like that. And
I'm a serial killer. I can destroy a box of Cocoa Puffs. Just gone. At a sitting.
Yeah. SERIAL. Oh. Oh yeah. Okay.
Enunciate.
But anyway, a few weeks later, it was getting to be Christmas, and he sent me a present. He said, "I sent you a little something for Christmas," which honestly, my immediate reaction was, "Oh, I'm so hard to buy for." I'm one of those people who truly does appreciate gift cards, because then you don't have to disappoint me. And I thought, this man's only known me for a few weeks. There is no way on God's green earth he is ever going to be able to find anything that I will like. It arrives, and it's the graphic novel, My Friend Dahmer.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, he nailed it. So I knew then that he was going to be the man of my life for the rest of my life. So Jeffrey Dahmer reminds me of romance. Yeah.
Well, it's Josh mentioned the Cecil Hotel, which kind of makes me want to point something out. I'm going to put this in the chat room because we had a guest in the chat tonight from the Horror Chronicles podcast. That is the link to their YouTube channel. They did an entire show on the Cecil Hotel, and it's pretty good. You guys should check them out. They've got some really neat stuff. I've been interviewed on their show a few times, but yeah, they really do, as their motto says, keep it creepy. I'm going to be shooting some video with them really soon. We're wanting to get up to the area. They live up around. They live up in Rolla, Missouri, which is about halfway between here and St. Louis. And I want to get up there and do some research, because they had an Ozarks howler sighting there a couple of years back. A group of people saw it. So when you get a group of people that see something and describe the same creature independently, when you separate them and they describe the same creature, that has a lot more credibility than when you run into a guy in a pair of bibbed overalls and going, "Yeah, I saw that big old monster thing come walking out, and I pointed my shotgun at it, said, 'You don't get the hell out of my cornfield, I'm going to fill you full of buckshot.'" I put a lot more credence in a group.
So you run into my cousins a lot down there.
Hell, that's half my family right there. That's funny. Northwood says cereal versus cereal, proof that spelling matters.
That is absolutely
Marshall
true.
says John Wayne Gacy was an evil, sick bastard. I totally agree.
And the
Josh
reason
says
so many people are afraid of clowns now.
You know why Hannibal Lecter didn't like clowns? They taste funny.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Josh says the hotel's a good example of an evil stain. Yeah, there's a lot of weird crap has happened in the Cecil. Yeah, we need to do a show on that. But tonight's show is about Hellgates, and we'll try to kind of push that back over on the topic. But yeah, I'll put that in there. Go by the Horror Chronicles podcast and tell them we sent you. So I think you'll get a kick out of some of their shows. They're pretty awesome.
Cool. So, Hellgates.
Well, other than Stull, Kansas, which one would you like to do next?
Well, I am all about this whole Pelham Township, Pennsylvania.
Ooh, all right. I thought you were going to say the one in Louisiana, but okay, we'll go to Pennsylvania.
Well, I thought we would do that one last because it's not really a gate of hell so much as it's a gate to Guinea.
Yeah, which is almost the same thing. Not quite.
Oh, yeah, not quite.
Okay, well, then ladies' choice.
Okay, Pelham Township it is then. Thank you for calling me a lady. So I actually got a book and was reading on the subject, and the book is called Beyond the Seventh Gate, Experiencing Toad Road, the Seven Gates of Hell, and Other Strange and Scribble.
About made me spit coffee on my keyboard. Don't do that when I'm drinking.
It really does say Scribble. I mean, it doesn't say Scribble, but York, Lancaster, and Adams counties in Pennsylvania. And the book opens and he's talking about how he first heard about this because his wife had told him, "Don't look behind you when you're on Toad Road." And we'll get to that eventually. Okay. But there was a really great quote in the book. If you walk the roads in Hex Hollow, and that's kind of a general area, if you walk the roads in Hex Hollow in the right sequence on Halloween night, you will pass through the gates of hell. So Hex Hollow, there's so much. There is the Hex murders. There is the witch lady. There is Toad Road. There's a burned out asylum. There's the Devil's Circle. There are just so many things going on in Hellam Township and around that, in Lancaster and York and Adams counties, that I just think it warrants a road trip. It is just.
I'm down. I'm always down.
Actually, Lenita, no, he never told me that story. But
sounds like a cool story, though.
Yeah. My favorite Ted Bundy story is the one about the couple in the woods. But anyway, in Hellam Township, there is a place called Toad Road. And if you look on Wikipedia or you look on Hellam Township's website, they say that Toad Road does not exist. That's because it's actually, I think it was T294 is or F294, whatever the number of the road is now. And you have to go to the corners of, go back another page. I wrote the roads down. The roads are on the corners of Trout. You go to the corner of Trout Run and Ridge Roads, and there's a gate. It's not a fancy gate. It's just your basic cattle gate. But that is where, from that point forward, is where Toad Road actually is. It's not a maintained road. It's dirt. It's overgrown. It leads down to the Cadorus River. Mm-hmm. And it's they say that that gate is the first gate and that there are 6 more gates, but they're only visible at night. The Timothy Renner, who wrote the book that I actually bought on the subject, is like, no, there's not any more gates. That's the only gate you're going to see. And Trout Run Toad, yeah. There are different legends about Toad Road. One of them being that there was a crazy eccentric doctor who had a sort of a toad fetish, and he collected lots and lots of toads, and he collected strange and bizarre statuary of toads, and that's where the Toad Road got its name. But in reality, probably it's just literally a toad road. Anybody that's ever been on a road down by the river and it's, gets dark out, you're going to see a lot of little eyes shining as the toads jump across the road at you. I've been on quite a few of those in my life, out driving around at night. So,
hi, Patty.
Hi, Patty. So that's probably where it got its name. Another legend is that there was an asylum there. Probably, they say, run by the same eccentric doctor. This poor doctor, he worked at Johns Hopkins.
So he's probably a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, he was actually a really outstanding member of the society. In fact, both of his wives were. His first wife died and not of mysterious causes. She just died, and he married. Yeah, and then he married again, and both women were leaders in society. But for whatever reason, the people in that area have determined that this doctor was just some kind of Frankenstein.
Makes a better story.
It does, and that he had an asylum there, and that the asylum burned down. The gates were put up to keep the inmates that escaped the fire escaped into the woods, and they put up all these gates to keep them in. No fences, mind you, just gates.
Just gates. There were 7 of them.
Yeah. And that's how the gates were originally installed. But as this author points out, there was never an asylum on this road. Never. And no, it literally it shows up on maps as Toad Road, and up until the 1940s. Then it became private property at that time, so it quit showing up on maps. And then whatever hurricane hit the area, I believe in the 70s, flooded the entire area out.
Hurricane hit Pennsylvania?
Well, it hit how
the after effects of
right.
Okay. I was like, holy crap.
Ida rained on us, and I'm in Tennessee.
We got after effects from that. I guess I didn't think about that, but when you said a hurricane, I was like,
well, they do have a port. But anyway,
out of
time for a refill.
Fortunately, I brought a spare.
I did not bloom my coffee this morning, and it tastes very watery to me.
I have 2 of these.
But anyway,
good coffee.
So this asylum was never on Toad Road. Oh, back to the hurricane. So the whole area flooded out, and because it was not a maintained road, it basically was washed out, and that's why the author thinks it doesn't appear on maps now. That and the fact that it's actually a numbered road now, not a named road. But this asylum there was never an asylum in that area that burned down. So that leaves that out. But what fascinated me was first, somewhere in those woods around Toad Road and in that township, there is a ring of stones. Now, that's a pretty big area to go looking for a ring of stones, and it's pretty heavily wooded. But they say if you find the stones and you walk around the stones X amount of times, and, for the sake of argument, let's say that's 7. By the way, it was Dr. Belknap. That was the name of the doctor that was... But if you walk around the stones clockwise the right amount of times, and for the sake of argument, let's say it's 7, the ghastly hounds of hell will appear. If you walk around the stones counterclockwise, or widdershins in the occult, then the hounds will appear and they will drag you to hell. And you will never be seen again.
But I don't want to go to Nixa.
So I just thought that was really interesting. What further interested me is whether you believe that you're going to find those stones or not.
Whether you could find those stones with like the aerial Google map of the area.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Might have to check that area.
I mean, are they stones like this? Are they stones like this?
I would say that, like, if it's a stone circle, they got to be sizable stones. Did you know that there's a place here in the United States that they call America's Stonehenge?
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a show on it the other day, and they dated the rocks and the carvings at like 3,000 years old. Okay, so way before anybody was supposed to have been here.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the writing that's inscribed in the stone is Ogham, which is Celtic.
Cool.
And that kind of freaks me out. That means the Celts were over here long before anybody else that's even recorded. In fact, I read an article here recently that there were some people that in Norway today that have bloodlines If you do that, when they did their ancestry DNA tests, when they got their results back, there was Native American blood in them, which would indicate the
Wow.
Vikings were here and took people back with them.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
I love stuff like that.
Oh, me too. I could watch stuff like that all night. Drives Brad crazy.
Northwoods
So,
Cryptid says Hound of Hell, Dogman.
so that's where
That's a
I
hell of a
really was
crossover right there.
So one of the things that people report when they go looking for these gates of hell, whether they find the gates or not, they say once you get to the fifth gate, you basically lose your mind. So nobody's ever gotten past the fifth gate and came back. The gates are probably.
I can do it. I lost my mind years ago.
Yeah, I know. Something to lose here. But my mother, whenever I'd say, I think I'm losing my mind, she'd always say, you can't lose what you never had.
That's a fact. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Greg. But anyway, the interesting thing is that when people go looking for these things, they have the feeling that they're being watched frequently. They get that weird feeling like they can't get it out of their head that they're being watched while they're in the woods.
It's the
Some
toads.
of them, yeah, could be. Some of them claim that they've been paced through the woods.
That sounds a little squatchy.
It gets better. There are those who have reported a scream that sounds a little bit like a woman screaming, and some have even claimed to hear babies crying.
That also relates to a lot of Squatch sightings.
Yes.
That's freaking cool. We got to go there.
Exactly.
It's like the cryptid paranormal trifecta all in one place. We gotta do that.
And a cryptid I'd never heard of before, a hide behind.
That's right. You want to tell us about that one? You're the one that sent it to me. So
you're
I'd
welcome
never
to
heard
tell
of it
if you
before.
want to.
I'd never heard of it before. You're the one that found it. Go right ahead.
Well, a hide behind. They say don't look behind you when you go down Toad Road. And I had never heard of this. I did not know what a hide behind was, and apparently neither had this author, but he found it. It's when I first started reading about it, I was like, DA, I thought this is a Bigfoot because it had a lot of the things that Bigfoot has about it. I really don't want to, I want to get this right. So I'm going to see if I can find the page. Don't look behind you on Toad Road. We return to that first fragment of a Toad Road story I heard way back when, remembered by my wife. She herself learned of it at her day camp off of Jerusalem's School Road, which somewhat parallels Toad Road on the other side of Cadoras Creek. She remembers a person pointing in the direction of Toad Road as they gave her the eerie warning. It's an ominous enough phrase on its own, suggesting stalking behavior by whatever or whoever might be behind you. The phrase bounced around in my head for years and years. I didn't exactly know what to do with it or how it fit into the Toad Road story. Then I stumbled upon the hide behind. Robert R. Lyman was a collector of Pennsylvania folklore and stories of strange creatures. He collected many tales from the 1600s through the 1970s. He tells of a creature known to local Native Americans called the hide behind. It was said to follow people through the woods, always behind its victims, hiding behind trees and peeking out from them. It is worth noting that tree peeking is another well-known Bigfoot behavior.
Yes, it is.
The hide behind was not the shy and retiring creature its name would suggest, but the most feared entity in the Pennsylvania forest. It was said that when traveling through the woods, the bravest person should be at the last in line. Only the bravest could be relied on to never look behind them as they walked. To look behind would spell doom, for the hide behind creeped up in their wake. Should anyone turn to see the hide behind, they would be struck with fear and panic, and the creature would surely take them. When the hide behind takes someone, they are never seen again. Let me tell you, I didn't go back far enough.
Well, you're looking, I'll answer this, Patty. Yes, all the places we're talking about are real places. There's 4 locations in the United States that claim to be the gate to hell. We've already talked about the first one in Kansas. This one's in Pennsylvania. We've got a couple others coming up, but there are actually numerous places around the world that make the same claim. But we're sticking to the ones here in the U.S. for tonight.
Essentially, when the hide behind grabs you, it digs out your stomach. It eviscerates you. And then it feasts on your meat. The hide behind also calls to mind another very sinister connection, Missing 411. A series of very interesting and disturbing books by David Paulides deals with strange disappearances of people. Anyway, I had never heard of a hide behind. It's considered I still can't find the description of it. That's very irritating.
Greg says the idea of looking back triggering an attack sounds like feline behavior. Mountain lion? Not from the descriptions. I mean, it sounds more like a predation by a Bigfoot type creature. At least that does to me.
Yeah, and it's described as a green-haired monster, which sounds kind of stupid, but when you think about the Honey Island swamp monster from Louisiana,
with the moss growing on it.
So,
or it could be Irish.
Yeah, that too.
Fiddly-dee.
It could just enjoy celebrating St. Patrick's Day year round. You never know. There was one missing person on Toad Road that has never been found, and she's relatively recent. And then there were 2 hunters that have died there. One was assumed to have fallen from his tree stand. The other was found dead after discharging his shotgun twice.
He fired at something and then was later found dead.
Yeah.
Northwood says sounds more like Dogman than Bigfoot. In some accounts, it's very much Bigfoot activity too. I mean, dogmen are notorious for being very predator-like, and some types of Bigfoot are as well. Speaking of types of Bigfoot, if you guys remember the show we did a few weeks back on the different types of Bigfoot, we've already got the first candidate to be added to the list. That's called a Barmanu, and it's from Pakistan. So we're going to be doing an update of the types of Bigfoot probably in the coming weeks, because I'm going to do a deep delve looking all over the place for other types as well. So I want to add as many to the list as I possibly can before we do another show.
I am just really frustrated that I cannot find the description of this. I should have written it down. I am so sorry.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all.
But anyway, there are so many interesting things going on in this area. Like I said, there's Toad Road. There's the 7 Gates of Hell. There was the Hex Murder in the Hex House. Prospect Hill. There is, I just lost myself. Not cool. There's the Marietta Cemetery. All of these things have some really creepy legends around them. We could do there's the River Witch, Emma Knopp.
Wow, sounds like we should do an entire show on that area.
Yes. I think I may send you the book and let you look through it and see what you think.
I wouldn't mind having a copy of it myself, so I might have to just order it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to expand my collection of cryptid books. And I don't own a Kindle, but I've been threatening to buy one for a while. And I told the wife the other day I wanted to get one, and I'm going to load it with PDFs and encrypted reference books. So when I go someplace, I've got basically a reference library at my fingertips. But I've got quite a few print editions of books, but I'll probably turn around and buy the Kindle editions just so I don't have to carry a bunch of books with me.
I am not a Kindle person, but I use the Kindle Cloud off of Amazon, so I don't own a Kindle either, but I read them off of the cloud. And when I'm desperate, like I was for this one, to get it right away because I knew I wouldn't get it before tonight's show, I will do a Kindle book, which is what I did for this. I'm going to be purchasing. It's the book. It's Beyond the Seven Gates of Scribble, Scribble, Scribble.
No coffee this
It's
time.
by Timothy Renner is the name of the author. If anybody's interested, so.
I will add that to the list. The one I've got on the way now is Them and Us by Danny Vendramini. That's my next hard print. That's a good book. Yeah, if you guys haven't read Them and Us by Danny Vendramini, it's a little dry. It reads like a textbook. It's not an action novel. It's a book presenting information. If his theories are correct, it will set the world of anthropology on its ass. And I draw a lot of my personal philosophies and concepts of Bigfoot type creatures from what Danny Vendramini wrote. Some of it makes so much sense. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I've done the Them and Us book by him.
It's a good book.
Yeah, I just sent you a link to that book.
Okay,
so you have it.
Awesome.
But
Papa Bear says there's a legend about a bridge with a footprint in the same county. Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure it's in the book.
Nice.
I only got halfway through the book today. Or yesterday and today. So I really didn't get as far into the book as I would have liked.
Greg Price posted a link for a Wikipedia article on the hide behind. So that might be worth checking out.
Yeah.
I will pull that up on the side on my computer.
All right. Maybe you can get a full description of it.
I will do my best.
Yeah, like I said, there are so many things going on in that region that he was able to really fill an entire book. And interesting book. Definitely an interesting book.
Wikipedia's got a pretty good description, but again, this is Wikipedia, folks. Just about anybody can edit Wikipedia, so I take anything from Wikipedia with a grain of salt until I corroborate it with something else. But I'll read the paragraph that Wikipedia has. That it's pretty descriptive. I think you guys will get a kick out of it. It says, the hide behind is a nocturnal, fearsome creature from American folklore that preys upon humans that wander the woods. It was blamed for the disappearances of early loggers when they failed to return to camp. As its name suggests, the hide behind is noted for its ability to conceal itself. When an observer attempts to look directly at it, the creature quickly hides behind an object or behind the observer and therefore cannot be directly seen. The hide behind uses this ability to stalk human prey without being observed to attack them without warning. Their victims, including lumberjacks and others who frequent the forest, are then dragged back to the creature's lair to be devoured. The creature subsists chiefly on the intestines of its victim and has a severe aversion to alcohol, which is therefore considered sufficient repellent. Tales of the hide behind may have helped explain strange noises in the forest at night. Early accounts describe hide behinds as large, powerful animals, despite the fact that no one was able to see them.
Cool.
And it's got kind of a crude drawing picture that looks very much like a Bigfoot creature. Only the drawing, it has a tail.
Really?
Yeah. Let me do the share screen and let everybody see the picture. I'll bring that up. Why are you not doing this? Did I freeze up? My computer's acting stupid. All right, give me a second. It says it's not responding. So I'm either going to crash or it's going to start working again.
Can I share a screen?
Yeah, you've got the same access I do. Just hit that share screen button down at the bottom. Why is this? What the heck? Okay, I'm afraid my computer might crash, so it's doing some weird stuff.
I don't know with this. Can you see
Am I still even on?
Yeah, you are, but can you see what I've got up there?
No, I think I'm about to lose my screen. I just...
Oh, no.
Something's going really screwy with my computer. I don't know if I got too many things running or... I really don't have that many.
Are you there?
I'm still here if you can hear me.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I can see you, but you got real quiet and it scared me.
Okay, well, I might disappear. Give
Okay.
me, I may have to reboot to get out of this, as it is locked. I can't do anything but talk.
Well, I just showed a really cool picture from the book of a mystery animal that was taken on, I think it was taken on Toad Road. Oh, and look at me. I'm all by myself. Don't want to be. Yeah, you don't want me all by myself because I will sing and you won't like it. But as long as I'm here, I do recommend that you pick up that book. It was really an interesting book to read, and um, it's got a lot of information on that part of Pennsylvania, and I could go on and on and on about the witches and the powwow doctor. And hello,
Hello,
how are you?
I'm okay. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Can everybody in the chat room hear me? Because I just basically had to shut everything down to get it to do anything.
Uh,
Are we still live?
yeah, Patty's asking what the name of the book was. It's
okay.
Scribble, Scribble, Scribble. The name of the book is, let me see. It's called Beyond the Seventh Gate, Exploring Toad Road, the Seven Gates of Hell, and Other Strangeness in York, Lancaster, and Adams counties. It was written in 2016 by Timothy Renner. And it's where I got most of the information that I've been giving you tonight on this particular set of Gates of Hell.
Awesome.
I'd already told you about the rings. So that the author does say that the gates of hell are metaphorical in this. It's not a physical gates of hell. And if anybody tells you they found them, then they're probably stoned. You know, that part was me. He didn't say that, but that part was me. So he said, liar, but I don't think they were lying. They were probably just stoned. So
Greg told me to check my Facebook messages. I'm almost afraid to open more windows than I have open because that's what crashed it last time. But I'll try to get back into Facebook. Literally the only thing I've got running is the window with this going, except for now Facebook's trying to load. Greg sent the photo. Okay, I'll download this and try to get it seen. Bear with me just a second. This with my computer acting crazy. I don't know if this is going to work. So here we go. Bang. Note the tail.
Oh, look at that. And that looks very similar to the picture. I mean, not similar, but you saw the picture. Did you get to see the screen I shared?
No, I couldn't. My screen didn't show it.
Let me try it again. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Pretty wild. Can you send me the link to that, and I'll see if I can get the picture out of that and put.
I tried. It's in my Kindle, and it's very limited on the Kindle Cloud. So all I can do is show you the picture from the page. Oh, you know what I could probably do is
You could do a screen capture.
I don't know if it'll let me.
Well, I'm going to put this picture back up for a minute, and I'm thinking that Northwood's may be onto something. That looks very much like a dog man. Oh my God! Hey Josh, if you're still in the audience, look at the placement of the claws and the way it's peeking out behind the tree. Remind you of something?
Oh, don't say that.
The dog man images we got out of the video at Joe Bald. Okay, That kind of scares the crap out of me. Wow. Yeah, even the way it's leaning out. Holy crap. And we didn't see it at the time. We only saw it in the video. Incidentally, we're going to be doing a yeah. Josh says, dude, that looks like your picture. Yeah. Hey, Sentinel's in the house. Hey, Robert. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Hey, Robert.
Greg says you guys are freaking nuts. Well, thank you.
Check your Facebook message and see if that picture works.
Okay, let me download that and see if I can open it with paint and just cut the picture out.
Oh, I left the caption in so that it would know.
Okay, well, we can just state the caption.
All right, well, let me bring it down a little farther for you then.
Okay, sorry for the silence, folks.
Yeah, my bad.
I apologize for that.
Just talk amongst yourselves.
I know that saved that. Well, there's the image you sent me. Where the heck is the one I just saved?
Just sent you a bigger one.
Okay.
Someone's TV is on. It's not mine.
I think it's my son. Oh, yeah, that's a much better image. That's even better than the one I did.
Well, you were working for the second snip. How's that for a creepy looking image?
That's pretty weird looking.
Yeah. Almost,
And Josh sent me one for a side-by-side. Yeah, get this downloaded. I'm not sure I can do a side-by-side. But
Patty says that was the creature that was hunting you, DA, the one in the drawing that you put up.
Okay, so there's this one. Okay, everybody got a good look at that? The hide behind?
Mm-hmm.
When you see the placement of the claws. And this is the image we got out of our video. That's one of them. Josh, do you have the clearer one where you can see the head better? Because you can kind of see the head on this one right there in the middle. And you can definitely see the claws down against the side of the tree. And it's very almost the same pose, which is kind of freaking bizarre. A little freaking me out, to be honest. Yeah.
Why don't you take that drawing and go back to Joe Bald and see if you can get it to pose for you to compare them?
I think it already did. Okay.
You need to take a moment?
No, I'm good. Just a little wigged out. Jonathan Miller says, greetings from Moosehead Lake. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Patty, you're right. Patty says that's the creature that was hunting you, DA. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Papa Bear says that is awesome. I think that you're picking up my son watching baseball. Okay, I've got. Josh sent me the other graphic. Okay, there we go, and there we go.
There you go. Yeah.
And we did go back in the daylight to that very tree, and there's nothing growing anywhere near that tree that could have been that. And where that head is at, roughly in the center of the red circle, there is about 8.5 or 9 feet off the ground.
Wow.
I went and stood right next to that tree, and had my wife take a picture, and I'm nowhere. My head is nowhere near the level of that.
Wow.
Bizarre. Oh. I might have to switch to something besides coffee. I got most of a bottle of Maker's Mark over there. Might have to have myself a wee bit of the juice. I'm going to do that one more time. God dang. I'm just torturing myself, I know.
Yeah, you are.
And there. I mean, hell, you can see the nose and the shape of the ears in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not one of those ones where somebody puts a red circle around a bush and you stare for 45 minutes and finally your eyes start to see pareidolia. No, that's very definitely there.
Yeah. Yep. So,
and Josh is wanting to make sure I don't sleep much tonight. Again, another comparison. Bang. And then.
Yeah.
And you can literally see it sticking up behind a tree. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but I laugh when I'm nervous. I do. I've been known to laugh in dangerous situations.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I laugh inappropriately. Yes, Werewolf. That was from the Joe Ball video.
Yes, that's from the Joe Ball video. Very much so.
Yeah, if you need to take a minute, we'll just.
Oh no, I'm good. But I think I will do something real quick, if you guys will bear with me for just a moment.
Sure. I can tell jokes while we wait. 2 peanuts were walking down the street, and one of them was assaulted. Bada bing, bada boom.
I can't find it. Where is it? Damn it.
How do you catch a unique rabbit?
Unique up on it.
How do you catch a tame rabbit?
The tame way.
Unique up on it.
I can't find the slowed down video.
Oh, no.
Did I put it in a different file? Ooh. The hell did I do with that video?
What do you call a blind dinosaur?
Do you think he saw us?
Uh-huh. Keep looking. I'm running out of jokes.
Yeah, I can't find it. I'll have to have.
Oh, I know.
I'll have to hunt for it afterwards.
If April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
Pilgrims.
Yep.
Okay, I apologize, folks. It wasn't intended to be bad stand-up or dad joke night, but I can't find the video. I wanted to put up the slow-mo video for everybody, but I don't know what the heck I did with it. And that's going to drive me absolutely batty.
Yeah. What do you call a cow with 3 legs?
I don't know.
I don't either.
What do you call a dog with no legs?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. He's not going to come.
What do you call a man with no arms and no legs?
Matt?
What do you call a man drowning in a swimming pool?
Bob? I've heard a lot of those. Josh, do you have the slow-mo video that you could send to me? Because I cannot find it. Okay. We'll attempt to kind of refocus there.
What do you call a blind man's dog? Do you think he saw us Rex? Okay. I'm sorry. Josh,
Oh,
what is a cow with no legs? Lean beef.
lean beef. That's
There
funny.
you go. Yeah.
Okay, I have lost even the notes I had up on the Hellgates, so you get to bear with me a second while I try to find those again. I had to shut almost everything down to get the computer to start responding again. I'd considered doing a full reboot, but it would have taken me a hot minute to get back.
Yeah.
Okay, which one do you want to? Which Hellgate would you like to do next? The one in Hawaii or the one in Louisiana?
I'd like to hear about the one in Hawaii. I didn't get that far. Do you want to talk about that one?
Let me scroll down to it in my notes. No, that one's in Kenya. I know I've got it on here. Okay, I don't know a whole lot about this one because there just wasn't a whole lot about it that I was able to find. It's probably a lot of local lore, but and bear with me, I do not speak Hawaiian. Waipio, Waipio Valley in Hawaii. It says it's a beautiful valley with an amazing beach and waterfalls. Has black sand, which there's a lot of lore around the Hawaiian black sand. They believe it's bad luck, and if you take any of the sand with you when you leave a black sand beach, you're cursed until you bring it back. But according to Hawaiian folklore, the gate is to the lower world, or Lua o Milu lives there. I guess that's the name of the demon that lives there. It's hidden by a bunch of sand, but it's still there, and you don't a gate to hell, whether buried or not, doesn't just go away. It's still there. According to the legend, you can enter the Hawaiian land of hell by the land of the dead, actually, by leaping off of one of the sea cliffs into it. But apparently, it's covered in sand now. It's
I would think if you're going to leap off a sea cliff, you're going to enter something.
Yeah, you're gonna enter at least traction.
Yeah.
But the pictures of the place are beautiful. I mean, but I've heard a lot of really creepy stories about black sand beaches in Hawaii, and people that did, like tourists that didn't listen and like took some of the black sand home with them in a jar, and from then on, they were plagued with like horrible luck. People in their family would get sick, businesses would fail, and apparently in Hawaii, even now, there's a place at the post office where people are mailing that stuff back to get it sent back. Yeah, you don't take black sand with you.
Yeah. I thought I would catch myself up on this, but
Greg says that's the same legend as the one from Mauna Loa.
Really? Who was from Hawaii that was in the chat room tonight? I saw somebody say aloha from Hawaii.
I will have to scroll back because I missed that one.
It was very early on.
Oh, I may not be able to scroll back that far then.
I bet you won't. Let me see if I can.
Because I had to go out and come back in.
Yeah. I know you won't be able to. I learned that lesson the hard way when we were giving away a gift card.
Yeah, I lost most of my most of the chat when I had to reboot.
Well, let me see if I can find that person. Mississippi.
Patty said, as Patty is throwing the black sand out right about now. Yeah, it's supposed to bring nothing but bad fortune down on you if you remove that black sand.
Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong one.
Dothan, Alabama. That's a far cry.
Yeah, no.
It's a far cry from Hawaii.
Oh man, where'd it go? For the love of Pete.
Francis C. Smith Jr. says that's me. So I guess Francis E. Smith Jr. is the one from Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
So are you familiar with that legend, or is that anything you're familiar with? I don't know a whole lot about Hawaiian lore. I need to read more about it because there's a lot of it, a lot of even cryptid stuff. I just haven't explored it that much because I've spent so much time researching creatures in and around the Ozarks. That's generally where I spend most of my time because I'm Ozarks born and bred. I'm just a hillbilly from the sticks of Missouri, and those are the ones that always fascinated me the most. Now, as I've gotten more and more familiar with Ozarks lore, I've branched out farther to like, throughout the Midwest, and then eventually throughout the rest of the United States. And I'm getting up into Alaska as I'm learning more about the attacks, because the dangerous cryptids are the ones that have always excited me, the ones I've always wanted to read about the most. So I'm getting there. I will eventually get everywhere, but I'm still learning. And anybody that says cryptozoology is not a field that you have to be constantly learning in is an idiot. Nobody knows everything, and I am by far cry no expert on anything, nor do I claim to be.
Yeah.
Francis says removing lava or sand taken is all true. I've heard that many times.
Yeah.
Greg says Hawaii looks like a beautiful place, but I hear that it's not too friendly for non-natives physically or spiritually. I've heard that there are places in Hawaii that if you're a haole, as they call you, if you're not a local, you need to stay the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But
You gotta
you get that.
Kamina.
Yeah, you got to be. You run into that to a certain extent anywhere. I mean, I know places in as I like to call it, the butt crack of Missouri, where if you got out to talk to somebody, they would probably look at you like, what the hell are you doing here, and not say much. I mean, the hillbillies are pretty close, even to this day, are still pretty clannish. The people that live in the backwoods don't generally like strangers. So if you're a door-to-door salesman, I don't recommend the backwoods of Missouri. You're probably not going to get much sales.
I was visiting my brother at his construction office, and this was many, many years ago. And we were talking about the fact that our family's all from Arkansas, and how, we just think they're all super friendly down there and yada, yada, yada. And one of his employees said, man, I don't know. I went through a town down there and those people scared me. And I was like, really? He says, yeah, it's over in eastern Arkansas. I said, really? Because that's where my mom's side of the family's from. I said, what town was it? And he said, Sappho. And that's our family's town. I was like, no, they're really friendly. He says, not to strangers. So, yeah.
I have an update on the ice shine in the backyard.
Oh, yeah, did you get more?
No, this just happened night before last.
Okay.
My son had let the dog out before it got dark. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting in the recliner and in the living room watching TV with the wife. And Harley has this way he kind of knocks when he's ready to come in. He's like, he bats at the back door 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. And then he'll wait for you to come let him in. Well, I heard that. And I went, oh, crap, Harley's still outside. God dang, he's been out for hours. So I got up, I grabbed my cane, and I'm heading for the kitchen. I'm like halfway across the kitchen, heading for the back door, and Harley catches up with me. And I stopped, and I looked at him, because he came out of the living room, too, like, hey, Dad, where are you going? And I looked at him and looked at the back door and went, what the hell is out there?
Welcome
so I went.
My world.
I grabbed my pistol and went out, and there wasn't nothing out there. But I, clear as day, heard the sound of like the dog tapping at the back door.
Welcome to my world.
Wissa says raccoon. I've not seen any raccoons in our neighborhood. I've seen possums, but this is a pretty sizable. That was a pretty sizable bump on the door because Harley's about 80 pounds. I mean, he's not a little dog. But whatever tapped on the door did it in the exact same way the dog did.
Plus, my experience with raccoons is they're not that polite. They prefer to break in.
Yeah, true.
They don't knock at the door. They wait for a dog door to be left open.
Yeah, we don't have a dog door. And if it was raccoons, they would probably been at the trash can, which is around the front of the house by the front of the garage. So there's nothing there. Werewolf 5674 says no one knows, period. True. Francis says, unfortunately, many deaths are linked back to the black sand being taken. Yeah, I've heard that people have actually died. Greg says that sounds demonic. Werewolf says, did you see who it was at the door? Yeah, I went out there with my baby Glock, just in case there was somebody in my backyard, and there was nothing out there. No, I didn't hear anything but the wind. Shined my flashlight around, didn't see eye shine, didn't see anything. I may go out there tomorrow with my camera and take some pictures or some video where I see the eye shine, so you can see that it's not a bush that could support weight. It's one of those ones that has like tendrils that reach up, and you can just grab them and push them down without any effort. So where I'm seeing the eye shine is not something that could be an owl in a tree branch, because they're not that strong. He says, stay away from the oak tree. I've got several big oak trees in my yard and a couple of big walnuts as well. I'm pretty fortunate I've got some big trees back there, but it's Alyssa says, mimicking is a Bigfoot talent, but gold eye shine makes me question. Again, I'm in town. I mean, I'm in a neighborhood. I have houses all around me. So if there was something out there, somebody would have seen it. I mean, especially that early. I mean, it wasn't like 3 o'clock in the morning. It just only been dark about an hour. Alyssa says, got to be standing behind it. Yeah, I haven't seen anything standing behind any of the oaks. Greg says oak trees are spiritually significant. I've heard that as well. Werewolf says, any Wendigo in Springfield? Wendigo are generally cold weather and spirits of hunger. The weather's been beautiful. I mean, clearly you can take a look at me and see I'm not starving. But I've never heard anything. I've never heard any traces of Wendigo in Missouri. The closest Wendigo sighting that I know of, let's see, there's one really good one in northern Colorado, north of Denver. Another one in Rocky Mountain National in Colorado, and another one on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I mean, I'm sorry, apologize to the Upers, but that's the closest to the Midwest that I've heard. Wow, Northwoods Cryptid says being in town doesn't matter. My encounter was right in town, but even in a town the size of Springfield, I mean, this is not a rural community. I mean, if I lived on the outskirts of Lebanon, where I was born, I could see it, but this is not a rural area. I've got 2 major interstates within a mile of me.
There was a young man who was followed by Bigfoot during his paper route, and he was in Eldridge, Iowa, which is not technically part of the Quad City area, but the Quad Cities is close to 500,000 people, and it is right on the edge.
Naomi, you're not helping.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not possible, DA. It's absolutely not. Why are you Neoma, Finn?
Well, I'll fix that. Or should I leave it?
No, that's confusing.
You can be DA and I'll be a Neoma.
I was earlier. I was DA that's earlier. That's funny. But
there we go.
Yeah.
Greg says you were in town in Battlefield. Yeah, we had some strange occurrences going on when we lived out in Battlefield, but that area is really rural. It's not so much now. I mean, they've got a lot of housing developments that have grown up. That land that I lived on at the time is a housing development. So that area is pretty much ruined. They even bulldozed in that spring-fed pond to put in housing developments. So yeah, that about in Battlefield, Missouri, I totally get that. I mean, we were, half a mile from thick woods, and there was plenty of growth and waterways and stuff. They could have easily gotten up to that land, but here where I'm at, I mean, there's not even really any woods they could sneak through to get close to the neighborhood. It's all houses, which really kind of weird.
I'm going to have to excuse myself for a second. I'm dying of thirst and I'm out of drinks.
Okie doke. That's why I brought 2.
Yeah, I should have. Well, I did.
I'll try to juggle or yodel or something to try to keep them entertained while you're gone.
All right. Sure. Okay. Burlesque. Try burlesque. I'll be back.
Oasis says, I have watched Bigfoot cross I-5 in Washington. I can believe that. I mean, that's Washington State, and even the interstate runs through some pretty thick forest. Werewolf says, I know the skunk apes eat at trash cans just from a documentary. Yeah, Werewolf agrees with that. Dumpster. Lenny says they come with the drainage ditch to my house. That makes sense. There's some drainage areas, and actually, I'm half a block from what easily could be considered a cave. We have a sinkhole down the block where a bunch of just an area behind a house just collapsed. So they tore the house down that was on that property and tell everybody to stay the heck away. But the sinkhole is still there. And every time it rains real heavy, this neighborhood kind of partially floods, but it disappears into that sinkhole pretty fast. So that leads me to believe that sinkhole's going somewhere. Anita says they hit on the neighbor's fence when the dog barks. Huh. Well, my neighbor's got a privacy fence, and like I said, the house behind me has been abandoned for over a year. When the landlord evicted the last people that lived there, they weren't exactly model citizens. They did tremendous amounts of damage to the house, almost gutted it, like tore wiring and the copper and everything out of it, just trashed it. And my son was talking to the landlord there, and he said he's still arguing with the insurance company on whether or not he's going to go back in and remodel the house or just have it torn down. So, and they did a lot of damage. Northwood Scripted says, what I saw standing next to a dumpster before I took off like a cartoon in a blur. I can see that. Werewolf says sinkhole open to hell. Well, you never know. It's Missouri. Weirder crap has happened in Missouri. Westa says Jinjin would go between my neighbor's home and his fence, then cross a truck route to pick apples off my grand's tree in her front yard. Well, there's no apple trees in my yard, but there are walnut trees. And I don't know if you guys know much about the walnut harvest, but those are actually fairly valuable. You can make pretty good money picking up walnuts in this area when the walnut season rolls around. But I don't pick them up out of my yard. I like leaving them as a feast bonanza for the squirrels. Kind of serves a dual purpose because I like watching the squirrels play, and Harley thinks he's going to catch one of these days, so he loves chasing squirrels. Dog has a pathological hatred of squirrels. He's never caught one. He's never even come close, and it's pretty hilarious to watch him try because the squirrels just think it's funny. Greg says it's odd how most people just ignore things like this. Sunnydale syndrome is a real thing. I totally agree. There's just a plethora of weird crap. I mean, here in the city of Springfield, there's a lot of weird stuff. There's a veteran cemetery not too far from here. And when the Battle of Wilson's Creek was fought, which is just outside of Springfield, it was an extremely bloody battle. And soldiers from both sides, the Confederate and the Union, are buried in that cemetery. And I know people that have seen full body apparitions walking among the tombstones in full Civil War uniform. And that's just that one cemetery. Of course, I've got the Pythian Castle, which has been featured on Ghost Hunters. It's legit straight up haunted, and it's not far from here. I need to get a hold of that the Pythian Castle and get that sorted out, because I definitely want to get in there to film. Northwood Cryptid says walnut tree. It's probably a giant mutant squirrel. That wouldn't surprise me. Squirrels are going to eventually take over the world. That's just too funny. Greg Price says Pythian Castle supposedly has a demon infestation. Well, I know people have been attacked. There was a tour going through the basement, and someone went in one of the rooms down there that used to be used to house prisoners of war during World War II. And he was violently attacked. He had scratch marks down his back, and it knocked him physically out of the room. Alyssa says the homes in front of our place were on 2/3 acre lots, no more than 20 feet apart between most homes. That's about like that around here. I mean, they're good size. I've got a really good sized backyard, but it's longer than it is wide. So the rooms are the houses are fairly close together. Josh, do you take care of that, please? Thank you. I hear Naoma.
Here I am. So, what have we been talking about?
We were just basically reading and answering.
Cool. Okay. Alrighty. What is Pythian Castle?
Yeah, I want to do. We could probably do a show just on it, but before we do, I would like to go over there and film first, so I could use footage from the films here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. Got distracted.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to get something done.
Yeah.
I had heard back from Josh.
So, yeah. There's that. And adventures, photos, ghost adventures.
Irene says, where in my home in Michigan we have walnuts, pecans, cherries, all kinds, lots of fruit trees. Yeah, that's definitely food for the Squatch families. Greg says, travelchannel.com/host/ghost adventures. Ghost Adventures. Oh my God. Well, I like the Ghost Hunters show, but Ghost Adventures, that show just kills me.
Is that the one with the young guy who propositioned a succubus or an incubus?
Probably. I mean, that show's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I think
I'll behave myself because my wife tells me not to make fun of other shows, especially shows on like networks like that. Don't make fun of them on the air. But yeah, anybody that knows me knows my opinion of Ghost Adventures.
Well, he actually made fun of himself after he realized what he had done, but it was comical.
That is funny.
Yeah. He thought he was talking to a succubus, and he kept calling it an incubus, and they were like, no, it is an incubus. And, and an incubus is a boy, and he didn't know that. He thought it was a girl.
That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay, now
I need to get rid of that sand.
No kidding. Yeah, Patty, definitely get rid of the sand. He was saying earlier that there's been deaths recorded associated with taking black sand, and that is bad mojo coming out of Hawaii with black sand. Josh says, you don't have to say it, but I will. The Ghost Adventure guys are a bunch of crooks and charlatans and overall idiots. They also keep running into Zozo. I don't watch the show, so I don't know what they keep running into. But I did watch a handful of the episodes, and I know two things is going to happen in every episode. The main guy is going to utter the phrase, just then, at that exact moment. He's going to say that phrase in every episode. And at one point, the bald guy with the beard, not me, but the kind of heavy set bald guy with the beard is going to scream and run over a cameraman. Those two things are going to happen in every episode.
That's hilarious.
Werewolf says, when you find what you're looking for in every show, it's BS. Yeah, I totally agree. If you check our second Joe Bald video, we didn't pick anything up. Well, I've been over that video 50 times, and what I thought was eye shine, I would get Josh involved, like, oh, I think I got eye shine, and it would be the reflection of my headlight on a leaf or something like that. And because and I'm not gonna present anything if we don't have anything. And I said that in the video. It looks like we didn't find anything, and you don't. I mean, if you went out every time and you like here's me and Bigfoot. Yeah, it's just not feasible. I mean, there are people that have gone like Bindernagel, went his entire life without ever having a direct sighting. So they're hard to find. I mean, it's not like you can message one and go, meet me at the dock at 6, photo op. Okay, be there.
Make sure you do your hair and makeup, dude.
Yeah. Let's see. Northwood Scripted says, I could see some bad stuff connected to the black sand from Iwo Jima. Yeah, there'd be a lot of blood in that sand. Greg says, does anyone remember when the History and Travel channels were actually about history and travel? It's kind of like about as long as it was MTV played music.
Yeah.
Patty
I
says,
miss those days.
Yeah, me too. Patty says, we were supposed to go to Yosemite for Thanksgiving, then thought about going to Hawaii in December. Think I'll message you with family vacation ideas before I book anything.
He'll run them all for you, Patty.
Yeah, Patty, just to bear in mind, there is literally no place in the world that you can't dig up something creepy if you dig deep enough.
Yeah.
Josh says, even as a paranormal investigator myself, everything is false until I can prove it to be true. Even unexplained does not mean it's true. This is Bigfoot do like walnuts, but they don't shell them before they eat them. Oh my God. Oh. That takes some more bite pressure than I've got.
Yeah.
I do like walnuts though.
I got a bag of them in my kitchen. I need a Bigfoot.
To crack them for you? There you go.
Oh, shoot. That's funny.
Werewolf says, if it was that easy, it would not be good for anyone. That's a fact. If literally every time you went in the woods, something big and hairy tried to grab you, there wouldn't be a whole lot of people going in the woods anymore.
Well, if you don't look back, you're okay. Don't look behind you.
Patty says, I'm glad they're hard to find. And Josh says, I don't know why, but it makes me want a Bigfoot nutcracker.
I think I'm about to get a new coffee cup that says, she's a sassy one.
Oh, there you go. Josh, that sounds like a t-shirt. Bigfoot nutcracker t-shirt.
Yep, he will crack your nuts for you.
Bigfoot Nutcracker Incorporated.
Oh my, you could make those and sell them.
Oh, heck yeah, you could. I think I lost my notes again.
Oh no.
Oh, found it. Okay, I got it. Okay. That was the Hawaii one. We talked about the Hawaiian one. Oh, Greg says in Russia, Bigfoot find you. What a country! Josh, that sounds like one for the Christmas collection.
Yeah. Put him on the mantle with my other nutcrackers.
Chestnuts roasting on the open fire. Bigfoot cracking all your nuts.
So should we move on to the Gates of Guinea?
Well, that is the one you have been anticipating. So, and it's the one you're most excited about. So take it away.
Well, I have to start with telling you that the Gates of Guinea are not the gates of hell. In Guinea, it's like purgatory. In the voodoo religion, the soul doesn't leave necessarily for the first 7 days. It hangs out near the body. Guess it wants to see who loved it enough to come by and say hi. I don't know. Regardless, it's there. It goes to a place called Guinea. And Guinea is run by a guy called Baron Samedi. I need to interject the story because this just made me so
Good night, Greg.
giddy today. Good night, Greg. Um, I'm a fan of a 60s rock group called The Pretty Things. They were primarily English, so they're really not widely known in the United States, but they were actually the first group, and any Who fans out there are going to be mad at me, but they were the first group to do a rock opera. The Who just happened to get theirs on the shelf first, I think is how that worked. But anyway, their rock opera was called SF Sorrow, one of my favorite albums. And my favorite song off of that album is a song called Barren Saturday. And I was reading about the gates of Guinea today, and I kept coming across this Baron Samedi, Baron Samedi, Baron. I was like, Samedi, what does that mean? Lundi, Marty, Mercury, Judy, Vendry, Vendredi, Samedi, Dimash. Oh, Saturday. Baron Saturday. Oh my God. All of a sudden, after all these years, the lyrics to the song Baron Saturday means something to me. So, Baron Saturday is the guy who actually, he's the Lua, which is a sort of a voodoo god who rules over Guinea. And there is a legend that the gates of Guinea can be found in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Isn't one of the cemeteries or just somewhere in New Orleans?
There's
Because those New Orleans cemeteries are creepy as hell.
You have to, I think there's there's at least a dozen cemeteries up and down Canal Street. And the gates are in some of those cemeteries. Some people think that one of the gates is at the grave of Marie Laveau.
That makes sense.
But you have to visit them in the right order, and you have to visit each of the gates in the right order. Some of the cemeteries listed that it could be would be the St. Louis Cemetery. Is it the St. Louis? It's the St. Louis Cemetery, isn't it? I said that wrong. St. Louis Cemetery number 2, Greenwood Cemetery, the Cypress. That's fun. My screen just jumped. The Cypress Grove Cemetery, and the St. Patrick's Cemetery. And if you go to them in the right order, and boy, there are a lot of them. This is, it is also critical that a seeker pays due respect to the guardian at each gate. These are all power luas. Luas set the task of keeping the living out of the land of the dead. They must be appeased with ritual offerings and are quick to anger. At the time of Marie Laveau, a list was compiled of the, I don't know the word, who guarded each gate. Anyone intent on entering Guinea should prepare to meet the guardians in the following order. The first gate, Baron Lacroix, or Lacroix. The second gate, there's that word, Gede Nebo. The third gate, Gede Plumage. The fourth gate, Baron Cimetière. The fifth gate, Gede Babaco. The sixth gate, Baron Criminel. And the seventh gate, Baron Samedi. It is said that the 7 Guinea gateways are at their most active and therefore easier to open on traditional annual holidays, Christmas and New Year, Mardi Gras, All Saints' Day, and All Souls' Day, in addition to Ancestors' Day, 12th Night, and St. John's Eve. So there you have it. If you want to go to St. Louis and you go to the cemeteries in the right order and the right cemeteries, they're all the cemeteries that are in the French Quarter, and I believe they're all off of Canal Street.
Wow.
And that picture that I sent you, I don't know if you were able to, it's a picture of Baron Samedi.
Let me see if I've got it, because my Facebook is again acting weird. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got it. I'll upload that real fast.
Okay.
Give me just a second.
He's a very well-known, when you see him, you'll be like, oh yeah, I've seen that image a lot, because he is used frequently. He's always a skull with a top hat, and a lot of times he's pictured with bones around his hat and smoking a cigar. Oh, this is interesting. Well, let's go. Let's go with this one first. I've hunted all alone. I've hunted alone all my life. I've never seen anything. I have been told I probably have, just didn't want to look for. Well, whereof I can tell you right now, I can convince myself I saw nothing when I'm looking right in the eyes of Satan. I, I am really easy to convince that I saw nothing. So I know it's possible to see something and not know you saw it.
Josh says, do you think Louisiana is actually a hot spot for undead afterlife activity because of some unknown reason, or is it cultural?
I think it has a lot to do with voodoo. I think voodoo
I think
invites that in. And certainly, you know, there's a huge vampire culture there.
With the Rougarou.
And of course, you know, Honey Island's just down the stream.
Honey Island Swamp Monster. There's lots of legends coming out of there.
Yeah.
Do you remember the old series Kolchak the Night Stalker?
Of course.
Do you remember the episode The Spanish Moss Murders?
That sounds familiar.
About the swamp creature that was killing people? That was supposed to be a Cajun legend. It was the legend of Paramount Faye. The thing is I've been digging for a long time, and I cannot find anything that supports whether they made it up for the show or it's a legit legend. I would love to be able to talk to somebody who knew a lot about Cajun and folklore from Louisiana to find out if Paramount Faye is a real thing. Because if it is, it's absolutely frightening. Fantastic episode of the Night Stalker. My favorite episode, actually.
Sorry, my stomach's making noises. Malfait, that means malformed, right?
I think so.
Hera, what does that mean?
I think it means father.
Oh, malformed father. Okay. That's interesting.
Coming back to the Bigfoot eating walnuts by chewing them up. Janice says, how would those shells feel going through your system? Yeah, that unless they chewed them up really good, that's going to get a little pokey on the way through, I would think. Northwood Scripton says the answer to your question, Josh, is yes. When Josh was asking about if it's just Louisiana. Irene Duet says the Voodoo Queen Plantation is on the tour list. That is a real haunted place. Would love to go there. I totally would.
Yeah, me too.
Sal Paso says, where is that? Irene, where is that? She says New Orleans. He says, oh, duh, thanks. Werewolf 5684 says the French Creole has some dark beliefs. Yeah, I totally I'm dying to know if Paramount Faye is a legit legend, because if it's not, the lore they created for that one episode could have been a series. I mean, just absolutely terrifying creature. Josh says Nightmare Hunter show done in the spirit of the Night Stalker on one of the hiring cable channels like the HBO streaming service, going through all of your books. Hell yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
Doing a Nightmare Hunter show based on my books. Heck yeah. Irene DeWitt says, yeah, it's a very haunted place. Northwest Cryptid says Pere means father.
Yeah.
It's Pere, P-E-R-E M-A-L-F-A-I-T.
Oh.
Para Malfate.
F-E-T is formed. F-A-I-T, I'm not sure what
From the research, from what I'm going to put this in the chat room. From the research, this is the way it was supposedly spelled, not only for the episode, but in the few references I've been able to find online. And there aren't many. There's a website that's kind of a vampire lore, odd website. I'm not saying it's a bad website. It's just kind of weird. And I think it was like set up supplementing like that game Vampire the Masquerade, because it kind of had that feel. But they talked about the Paramount Faye on that episode. On that website, but I didn't know if it was, and they said it was real, but again, I could not.
My translation is that it's father badly done.
Father badly done. So a bad father.
Yeah. Bad dad.
Oh, Irene says, it is real. Here is the saying, you better behave or you're going to get got by Paramount Faye.
Wow.
So they had the spelling wrong. Is that the spelling, or was my spelling correct? That's
That's
what they said on that episode of Kolchak the Night Stalker. They said it was the Cajun boogeyman. If you don't behave, Paramount Faye's going to get you. It's a French legend.
That's amazing.
Oh, I smell a book. I got to quit knocking these things loose. My wife bought me some of those. They clip onto my regular glasses. They're the blue screen blockers to cut down damage to your eyes from staring at computer screens. And I was starting to get pretty bad headaches from the amount of time I spent on computer writing and researching and stuff. And every time I keep messing with my glasses, I damn near knock them off because they're not a perfect fit. But we found them on Amazon, and I couldn't exactly measure them to fit my glasses, but they're a pretty close fit. And I've actually noticed quite a bit of difference when dealing with the computers. I don't feel like I've already been on here for several hours before, I was pulling stuff up and getting the show ready. Before I even went on the air, I was already been on here quite a while, and I don't feel any eye strain. And that is awesome. That's a real legend. If you can point me in the direction of some even if it's in a book, if you know of a book that has lore on it, let me know. I will get the book. Melissa Long says, hello, question. Does anyone else think it's weird the Catholic Church knows so much about demons? Why and how did they learn this stuff?
I don't find it that weird. The demons, it's like they know so much about angels. Demons come from the Bible, same as angels do. Well,
demons actually, creatures similar to demons have appeared in lore all across the world, not just Christian lore.
Well, so have angels.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that any religion should be well versed on this kind of stuff. I know mine is. I'm not Catholic, but we're pretty well versed on it. Know thy enemy.
No kidding. Another thing, I think the Catholic Church doesn't put up a lot about it, but there are still inquisitors within the Catholic Church, and if you look at the lore of the Catholic Church, the Jesuit order was basically formed as the militant arm of the Catholic Church. The Jesuits are the ones that performed all the exorcisms. The Jesuits went out seeking things like that. So anytime you would have like the famous possession in St. Louis, Missouri, which they made the movie The Exorcist based on the events in that, because that was a real event that happened in St. Louis, Missouri. The priest still continued to live in St. Louis until he passed away just near recently. But the younger priest is still alive, but he will only talk about the incident in very little detail. He won't go into a lot of detail about it. But the building where it happened is still there. They say the building is still like cold spots and weird crap happens. And this is on church property that it happened in. So, and if one of the main priest that was involved in that exorcism was a Jesuit. The Jesuit order, that's what they did. They were, like I said, they were the church militant. They were the militant arm of the Catholic Church. And I firmly believe there are creatures like that out there that no matter what religion you are, every religion's got a term for them. Basically, demon seems to really fit that type of creature. And the Catholic Church has been in the business of taking them on for a long time. I'm not Catholic. I don't always agree with everything the Catholic Church says or does. But I will say they have done that. They have gone in direct combat with creatures like that. And it's pretty terrifying, but the church doesn't talk about it, probably for good reason, because it probably has happened a lot more than we know over the centuries. Lenita says, you're right. I looked it up. Irene says, that's the saying my French grandfather would tell us kids. Sal says, in the Catholic Church, as with any other religions, will study theology. Demonology is one of the studies of theology. Patty says, I work for a Catholic church and our priest has been part of 3 exorcisms and he'll tell you demons are real. I totally believe they are. You can look out through history and just basically see the mark of evil on that where things have happened. I mean, human evil is bad, but something that's so bad that literally stains the area it happened in, and those kind of events have happened a lot, and it's fascinating. I mean, I love hearing about stories like that, but at the same time, it's terrifying because if it happened to you, what are you going to do? I mean, I don't want to quote Ghostbusters, but who are you going to call? I mean, would you call a Catholic church? Would you call a Norse Gothi? Would you call a Native American shaman? What kind of spiritual warrior could fight something like that? Patty says it's true that our priests are Jesuit priests. Yeah, the Jesuits, no fooling. The Jesuit order is no joke. They've done some pretty amazing stuff for the church over the centuries. Josh found us an article. I will quote it here. Paramount Faye, father does evil. Malfay appears to be a not uncommon surname, and the most common word for boogeyman is known as croquemataine, but you find things like Malfay or Malfay. I can't read that. That's not in English. That's in French. I've got to skip all that because I don't speak French. Is a regular outcome of mal in the environment, and the rest says roughly a name for the devil throughout the Middle Ages. Paramount Faye. It's a real creature. Books coming. Oh, it's like Christmas for a writer. Oh. I think I'm the only person in the world that delights in adding more work for themselves.
I'm about overwhelmed.
I'm treading water, but I got a lot of work on my plate, but it's going to get done. Patty says, DA Father Nelson is pretty open about this topic. I would love to talk to the guy. Do you think he would come on the show and talk about demons? Because I will do an entire show on demons if he's willing to come on and talk to us. That would be fantastic. What do you think, Naoma?
I think I'll sit that show out. Thanks. Yeah, sorry.
Come on now.
No, I'm not going to go on and do it on the air, but it's one I won't do with you. You'll have to do by yourself or on a Saturday with Steve.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, I understand, but I'm just so excited about the topic. It's pretty intriguing.
I don't blame you. Go for it. I just would rather not be a part of it if you don't mind.
Well, I don't blame you. I get it. Sal Passo says, no doubt that demons are real. They can possess people and transform into manifestations of just about anything, such as ghosts or anything they want. Patty says, call Patty. I'll take the priest. Juanita says, DA, what do you think about mermaids? There's a lot of lore on it. And they've been seen basically in every ocean by pretty much every ocean-going race that there is. I mean, the ancient Phoenicians spoke of seeing creatures in the sea, and I don't buy that. The claim that a lot of them were like just lonely sailors that saw a manatee or something. I've been pretty lonely, but I've never looked at a manatee and went, "She looks hot." I just never done that.
Well, Columbus did say they weren't as pretty as he expected them to be.
Oh, that one's kind of ugly. Yeah, Columbus is like, you get the ugly one. No, yes. I think there's enough lore on them that we can't dismiss it outright. Like the expression from Shakespeare. There's stranger things than this on earth, Horatio, or something to that effect. But there are creatures out there we haven't discovered, and we've only really explored 10% of our oceans. We don't know what's out there. whether they be remnants of the what was once called Atlantis, or if they evolved that way. You can Google the Aquatic Ape Theory, and that's pretty fascinating reading. It was talked about tribes of primates that lived near the ocean and relied on the ocean for their primary food source. And as they evolved more, going out farther to try to hunt for food, they developed to be able to hold their breath longer. And over successive generations had webbed feet, and then eventually they just stayed. And there was a mockumentary. It wasn't real.
That.
Yeah, it wasn't real, but it was called Mermaids. I don't remember what it was called, but it was presented as a real documentary. And the first time I watched it, I didn't know it was not real, and I was like, "Oh, this is freaking fascinating," because they had some really good footage and stuff. And then I found out it wasn't real. And I was like, "Oh, those bastards pulled an April Fool's on me." But then I started digging into what they cited, like the Aquatic Ape Theory, and basically they just took theory and legend and ran with it and made this documentary. So even if they made the documentary as sort of a joke, they still presented a lot of really good information.
The giveaway for me is the actors use the same exact technique no matter what the made up documentary is.
It's called Mermaids, The Body Found.
Mm-hmm. And there's every actor in that does the same thing. I was by the ocean and I saw it. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're not even a good actor. And that's when it gave it away for me. But I mean, all the other stuff was like, wow, this is really cool.
I'm pretty sure it's still available on some of the streaming services. I'm sure it's probably on Amazon Prime at the very least. But it's worth watching. It is presented as an actual documentary, and she's right. The performances by some of the people are a little bad. But at the time when I first watched it, I just kind of chalked it up to them being nervous on camera because when it comes to cryptids and mysteries, the writer in me always wants to believe the story. Yeah. I always want the fountain of youth to be through this next stand of trees. I always want, the ghost stories to be true and to have that experience. And even when it proves to be false, or when there's nothing there, part of probably the writer or the little kid still lurking somewhere back in the dark recesses of my mind still wants these stories to be real. And I've had enough weird experiences in my life that can't easily be explained that I went from, as a very young man, wanting to believe these fantastical stories because I loved the stories, like reading Tolkien and things like that. But as I started having, odd things happen and experiences of my own, I went from just being purely focused on the fantasy, the story aspect of it, to starting to open my mind to the possibility of a much larger world. And I truly believe there are things out there we haven't learned yet. And if mankind, as in its own arrogance, believes that we're the only intelligent life in this universe, or even on this planet, then we're stupid. Because I think there's intelligence yet undiscovered on this planet, let alone when we're reaching for the stars. It's an interesting. It's an interesting world we live in, and I think we're on the cusp of it becoming far more interesting. Josh says, you could use that entity to be leaning closer to a powerful malignant figure and deepen the interconnected lore. Yeah, I've got some ideas I'm going to bounce around, talk to some of my alpha readers about before I write a Paramount Faye book, but I would say that's going to happen. Denise says it is an interesting topic. Sal says, good question, Lenita. Denise says, I have a couple of stories that would curl your hair. Well, as I have no hair, I would love to hear them, and I don't mind a curly beard. Northwood says, there's another shirt, DA. Woohoo! We're going to have a whole collection. Patty says, I don't know if he would do a show, but let me ask him if he can speak to you one-on-one. Yeah, I would love to, even do like a Skype call and just pick his brain and listen. I've got some friends, their family. One of them was a deputy I served with, and I won't mention their names on the air because I haven't asked their permission. But they're all from the Navajo Reservation in New Mexico. And the guy I served with as a deputy, he's a heck of a good guy. And when I first met him, he came across as being very stoic. He didn't talk to a lot of people. He largely kept to himself. Answers were pretty short, which is kind of typical until you get to know somebody who's Navajo. Because I grew up close to the reservation. I knew quite a few Navajo when I lived down in New Mexico, and just an amazing culture. And the first time I worked master control with my buddy, first time him and I actually got to sit and talk. Master control is a control center for the entire jail. Every door, every alarm, everything in there is controlled. Every camera is controlled from inside master control. Thus the name Master Control. And they have 2 officers stationed in there, and they basically run the jail from there. And when him and I both worked in the jail at the time, and I sat down at my station, and he sat down at the other. And we sat quietly for about 30 minutes. He really didn't say hardly anything other than I'm opening this door. We've got an alarm and this, and just completely unrelated. And I looked over at him and I go, so answer a question for me. And he just kind of looked at me and go, what's one of the Dene doing so far from New Mexico? And he goes, how do you know that name? And then we got to talking, and now we're pretty good friends. But not many people know that the Navajo actually refer to themselves as the Dene. And I started talking to him about Navajo legends, and we got to talking about the Skinwalker, and he wouldn't say the name. And the Navajo name is Yinatalushi, not actual Skinwalker. That's the English equivalent. But I've got a schedule. We already went and had dinner together. Me and his family. His mom actually reminds me a lot of my mother. She's passed away years ago. But they told me some things that really kind of made a lot of sense and jibed with a lot of things I'd already suspected. And I want to get together with them and barbecue again here soon, because we were in a restaurant at the time and we didn't really talk openly about a lot of things. But they said, let's sit down someplace away from other people and we'll tell you a lot more. And I'm like, score. So we've got to work out a time when we can do that. Wissa says, wow, I've been sitting outside watching the comet fall. Just saw a huge one tumbling in the west sky. My phone sucks for night pics. Yeah, mine does too. I don't know why.
That was a reference to good-looking mermaids, I think.
Yeah. I've had a pretty, when I was a younger man, I had a pretty lengthy dry spell or two where I still can't say a manatee looked good. Wolf says, I don't know about mermaids, but sirens are real. Lost my money to them in the Philippines.
I've argued with a few cops over whether or not their sirens were real and lost that battle.
Melissa Long says, Animal Planet did those movies, I assume.
Yeah.
Facebook user says, hi, my friends. Hello. Welcome to the show. Irene Duet says, there are dragons. God showed Job a dragon and a unicorn. That's freaking cool. Denise says, I remember that genotype does not follow phenotype. That's true. Irene says on the Animal Channel. Patty says, I really want to believe the Fountain of Youth to be real. I would too. I would love to. I don't know if I would consider myself worthy of taking from the Fountain of Youth. But I like to believe in the legend. Josh says, why use 3 words when one will do?
Skidwalker works just fine for me.
Patty says, DA, just a bit longer. I want to be an alpha reader. That might happen. I mean, I've got so many projects going. I generally like to spread the projects out among different alpha readers and have one group concentrate on one particular book. Right now, I've got more alpha readers than I thought I had. I've got quite a few people in the loop. So right now we're good. but I may want to tap you as a resource for alpha reading in the near future, because I do have a lot of projects on the fire. Bob Foot says, "What's up, everybody? Sorry I'm late. What are we talking about?" Well, we're talking about the gates to hell, which we've pretty much covered all the ones here in the States, and now we're just talking about other legends.
There are other gates.
Yeah, they're around the world. There's plenty around the world.
Just to list a few, there's Fengdu, China, Derwizi, Turkmenistan. I'm sure I'm saying these wrong. Mount Osore, Japan. There's Hell's Gate National Park in Kenya. They're proud of theirs. They named it after the park after it.
There's up near Hahatonka State Park on one of the trails. There is a cave that they refer to as the Devil's Kitchen.
Yeah, but we know all about what happens when they name places after the devil and hell. And
yeah, Werewolf 5674 says, "I think there's a lot of you in Ragnarok Rising." Well, hopefully the good parts. Bob Foot says, "Any in Japan?"
Yes, Osoro. Oops, wrong page. Well, there's one in Hekla, Iceland.
Nice.
And
in Iceland, would hell be spelled with one L?
Probably. Mount Osore, Osori. It is said that an entrance to hell is located within this mountain in northern Japan that's known for expelling sulfur dioxide. Nearby is Laku Usori, which legend has it is actually the Sanzu River, the river that, according to legend, the dead must cross prior to reaching the afterlife. And Osore, Osore also means fear in Japanese. So there's that.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where people would be afraid to go to hell.
When I first saw this comment, I thought he was. I just glanced at it at the side, and I thought he was referring to there being a lot more stories that could be told in Ragnarok Rising. And then when I read it again, I said he would think there's a lot of me in Ragnarok Rising, and I appreciate that. I hope there's some good parts of me in there, but we also haven't heard the end of that world. I have a second series in the works. It's kind of on the back burner right now because I've got so many other projects, but I do want to try to get the first book done by sometime early next year. And the first book of the Ragnarok Rising saga is called Awakening. The first book of this new one is going to be called Reawakening. And it's going to be it's a new series. It's going to be called Wastelands of Ragnarok. It takes place after those books.
Cool.
Facebook user says David Polides has a whole section of areas named after devils. Yeah, if you look at maps of like topographical maps or any real like maps of any like close up maps, not just like a map of the United States, but if you look at like county maps. All over the United States, there are places like Booger Canyon, and named after just really, really weird things. And those have to be. There's got to be a reason that name was put on there. Somebody doesn't walk up to a beautiful spring emanating from the side of a bluff with clear spring water and go, that looks like Hell's Gate to me.
Yeah,
there's got to be a reason that they call it Hell's Gate or Devil's Kitchen or the Monster Springs or something like that. And we had a place around here they called Rattlesnake Cave, and of course my dumb ass is, why do they call it Rattlesnake Cave? It's full of damn rattlesnakes in the summertime because it's cool in there. You don't want to go in that cave unless it's wintertime.
Stick your hand in there and find out.
Yeah. Just walk on in there, idiot.
Lauren Coleman wrote an article for Fate magazine many years ago about towns or places that and the meaning behind them. There's a technical word for that, But what I found interesting, and I'm looking at the article as we speak, is it's not just hell and devil and things like that, but it's many of the Indian words that we just think, oh, that's just an Indian word. For instance, I just in the process of doing something for What If It's True, and it's on the Chickamauga battlefield. Chickamauga is the Cherokee word for river of death. And
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, of course, then there's the ones that we would recognize easily, like Diablo and Diabla. But there's a word for, oh gosh, you'd think I'd be able to find it. Okay, I'm so sorry. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, I'll read some comments while you're looking.
Okay.
Northwoods Cryptid said, Uncle Sam almost sent me to Iceland. I still want to go there at some point. I would love to visit Iceland. Wissa says, in southern Oregon, we have a Lucifer's Lake with the Devil's River spilling out of it, and the closest town is called Idiot's Village.
And of course, there's a reason it's called Idiot's Village, isn't there?
Bob Foot says,
the hand in the rattlesnake cave.
Bob Foot says, Codename Wild Hunt 4. No, Codename Wild Hunt 4 is already plotted. I'm ready to start writing that book. Codename Wild Hunt 4 is going to be called Codename Wild Hunt Death in Dyatlov Pass. And I'll leave that hanging. I already have the entire book plotted out start to finish. I know everything that's going to happen. I just haven't got there to write it yet. I've got other projects ahead of it. But the next Codename Wild Hunt and the next Apex Predator and the next Lakeview are already plotted out, as well as the next Nightmare Hunter. So I have plots already established and ideas where I'm going. I've just got to get there. I've already started the first book of the Wastelands of Ragnarok. I'm pretty far into that one, but it's kind of a side project. I'm just working on it slowly. And I've also got my fantasy project going. In that book, the first book of that series has already been named. It's called the Blood and Redemption Trilogy, and book 1 is called Heart of Iron. And I think you guys are going to like it. I'm getting a lot of really good feedback from my alphas, and that one I'm actually already talking to an artist about doing a Frank Franzetta style full art piece for the cover, not something that was done as a photo manip or done on a computer, an actual hand drawn, spectacularly beautiful art piece on it, full fantasy artwork. Josh has actually been helping me with the cartography. I drew a map by hand, and Josh is bringing it to life. And it's what we've got so far is absolutely beautiful. It's going to be one version of the map is going to be full color, and the other is going to be parchment, and like it's printed on old parchment, and that one's going to be in the book. Let's see. She says you'll find it in Job chapters 39, 40, and 41. I got extra credit for that answer in my library class. Joe Abian says Devil's Backbone. Yeah. Animal Planet did a movie on werewolves. Their idea is that werewolves were brought about by getting infected by a mutated form of rabies. Well, that's kind of neat. Josh says toponymy. What is that? What is toponymy? Denise says, so can someone explain why there's a Toad Suck Park in Little Rock, Arkansas?
Good question.
All I can say is it's Southern Arkansas. That's probably not the weirdest name you're going to find.
There you go, Josh. You're right. What that is the study of place names. It took me a minute. I was like, why does that sound good? It was the word I was looking for, Josh. Toponymy is the study of place names.
There's some weird place names in Missouri, too. Like, there's a town called Knobnoster. There's another town called Knoblick. I kid you not, Knoblick. Yeah, I'll let you draw your own conclusions with that one.
Okay, but you know what a lick is, right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
but in the vernacular, it sounds far worse than what it really means.
Yeah, there's a doglick creek up here, or dog lick. And I'm like, who wants to lick a dog? They can do that for themselves.
Yeah, no kidding. They do it a lot. Northridge Cryptid said, Idiot's Village, maybe where my ex was born. Facebook user says Iceland has boulder fields that the Icelanders refuse to remove when they're building roads. They just avert the roads around the boulders because cryptids live in the boulders in their belief. Yeah, they have a strong belief in trolls and nature magic. And when they built the airport in the new airport in Reykjavik, they had a Norse pagan Gothi come out and bless the land and ask for ask for the permission of the magic folk that lived there, the trolls and the fairies, and apparently it worked because the airport's been pretty safe. Oh, Bob says, I love the live background with the eyes. It's a nice touch. Adam Shepard designed that upon my request. I gave the idea to Josh, and him and Adam brainstormed, and Adam did that. We're actually looking at doing a Mark II version of it that adds wind and lightning.
That'll be cool.
Facebook user says, do you realize the term hearts of iron comes from what Hitler said was necessary to the final solution? And it's not hearts of iron, it's heart of iron, because the main character's name is Balkus Ironheart. He's a dwarf. The second book is going to be called Leaves of Silver. So naming convention there. Knob Twin, Mob in case Hemo. Mobtown.
My aunt lived in Bald Knob, Arkansas. Okay, I have to tell you, when I get really mad, I scream self-copulating chickens. It's my most evil cuss word that I can come up with.
That's funny. Melissa says, are your books on Amazon? Yes, ma'am. All of my books are available on Amazon, or you can go to my website and direct link from there, so you don't have to search anything. I'll put my website up really quick. There's my website, and all the books are listed on the website. So just at the top banner, just select which series you're looking for. Go in, pick the book, click on it, and it will take you directly to the purchase link.
My sister says she lived just off of Hog Eye Road when she lived in Texas, but I have one better than that. If you're headed into Arkansas from Missouri and you're headed down into Rogers in the far west north corner up there, before you get to Rogers, there's a little town called Pea Ridge.
Drove through it going to Springdale.
Did you ever see the road? There's a turnoff for a road called Good Enough.
Nope.
I
did not see that.
N-U-F-F, Good Enough Road. Apparently, they figured that was good enough. They didn't have a name for it, so that was good enough.
There's an intersection here in Springfield that the Greene County deputies used to love to pull people over at that intersection just so they could call it out on the radio. It's I kid you not. I will go out there and take a picture of it and put and try to get it up here on the show. But it's the corner of Cox Road, which is spelled C-O-X, and Swallow. So they would say it on the radio. Stop. We've got a vehicle occupied 3 times at the corner of Cox and Swallow. And the dispatchers would not read it back. They'd be like, copy that at a corner of Farm Road 182 and Swallow Road.
Ooh, Josh has got a lot of licking going on in his part of the world.
The deputies finally started getting in trouble for doing it, so they kind of laid. Last I knew, they had stopped doing it, but that was like a rite of passage as a deputy to pull somebody over at Cox and Swallow. Oops. Oasis says Germany in the 1430s went through a werewolf plague. Russia and France also had such issues later. Yeah, the beast of Gévaudan or Gavaudin. I'm not sure exactly how it's said. It looks like it's spelled Gavaudin, but it's French, so I'm going to guess it's Gévaudan. There were for years, werewolf type creature was attacking people in that area. And I think, and I know it's in the history books, there were scores of people killed. Quite a few. I mean, it happened over a period of years. I mean, bad enough that they were putting out large groups of people go out and try to hunt it down.
I believe that was the beast that was killed by a silver bullet.
I think it was. I think you're right. I'd have to look the lore up on that. But that's a documented werewolf case. And when they found the person that they believed was the beast and put him down, the killing stopped. So, not saying that the guy was actually a werewolf or not, but that's the way it looks.
Yep.
I read that in school in Germany. And this is awesome. Irina would love more history of it. Hard to find here info here. Yeah, I totally agree. I do tons and tons of research, not only on cryptid sightings and cryptid attacks, but on other subjects for my book. I like to work in actual history in some of the novels. Like in the Ragnarok Rising novels, I mentioned that Wild Bill Hickok killed a guy on the square here in Springfield, Missouri. One of the first examples of literally guys drawing and shooting like the Old West style. He killed a guy named Dave Tutt. And Dave Tutt's buried in a cemetery not very far from here. I've been to the grave. I need to go over and get some pictures. Get pictures of that as well. I've got some somewhere, but I want to go get some new ones. Yeah. Northwood says, I really need to watch the series Grimm. My wife and I have been looking for a replacement series since Supernatural went off the air. And don't get me started how many times she started over from the beginning, and we've watched that entire series. We've easily done it 4 times, and that's 15 seasons of Supernatural. Although the last season, the 15th season, we've only done once because it appeared late in the run of the final run of the series. But if she gets addicted to Grimm, oh my God, I'm probably going to be watching a lot of those. So I'll tell her about Grimm and see if she wants to check it out.
At our house, it's Person of Interest.
Person of Interest was a good show. Werewolf 5674 said the killing stopped, but they killed all the wolves too. Yeah, they pretty much eradicated wolves from their area. But considering how many people were killed, I don't blame them for going a little overboard. Northwood says Grimm is 6 seasons. Woohoo! That's not like 15. Facebook user says great series. And Facebook user says What We Do in the Shadows has a new season out. And it's hilarious. Might have to check that out as well. I'm getting a little belchy, so I might have to. That's what I've been trying to suppress. I've been drinking so much coffee. At some point I'm going to turn into Barney from The Simpsons.
Well, I have to be honest. I'm getting a little bit.
Getting a little bit sleepy?
I am.
Okay. Well, we've gone 2.5 hours. One thing I forgot to do, and I tried to do it at the first hour, is play a word from Carrie Pocket Doc Davis over at Dark Angel Medical. He's kind of the unofficial sponsor of the AX Machina. He's a hell of a guy, veteran, good friend of mine. He formed a company called Dark Angel Medical, and they provide from everywhere from basic all the way to high end trauma kits for the general public and first responders. I carried one of his kits as an officer for years, and I can tell you from experience, there's no better kit to put your faith in. Whether it's a basic first aid kit all the way up to something for severe trauma, anything you do anymore, you should probably have a medical kit. If you spend a lot of time in the woods hiking, take a med kit. If you spend a lot of times hunting, take a med kit. If you're in a high risk profession, take a med kit. The life you save very well could be your own or somebody you love. So we get a word from here from Carrie Pocket Doc real quick.
Everybody, this is Carrie Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DAX Machina with D.A. Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
And that's Kerry Pocket Doc. You definitely recognize him from the books. He's just a hell of a good guy. And that Dark Angel Medical they make the best kits, bar none, I've ever used. They also have what's called the Kit for Life Guarantee. If you use your kit to save a life, document it, send the kit back to Dark Angel, and they will resupply the kit for free. Anything you use to save a life, they'll replace it. And they keep track. They keep track of how many lives their kits have saved, and it's pretty impressive. So swing by Dark Angel Medical and check those out. I was going to do a code giveaway tonight, but Naomi's getting tired, and I have not had Josh teach me how to do the new giveaway feature we have on the bot. So I have to brush up on that. So sorry, folks, we won't do a code tonight, but we will do one Saturday. So make sure you join us on Saturday when we will have MK Davis. I don't know if you're familiar at all with the cryptid world. That name should definitely ring a bell. But he is very renowned for his study of video and photos, specifically the Patterson-Gimlin film. And there's recently been a new film surfaced from somebody shot up in Idaho of a Bigfoot creature, and it's very clear. And MK has gone over that video thoroughly. So we're going to be discussing those videos, the Patterson-Gimlin footage, and many other things that he's experienced. He's been in cryptid research since I was a very small boy. We'll put it that way. The man knows his stuff. So we'll have MK Davis on the show on Saturday. I would definitely. I often say there's no experts in the field of cryptozoology, but I would say when it comes to the Patterson-Gimlin film, he's probably the guy. I don't think anybody studied it. The guy studied it literally frame by frame. So I don't think anybody's put more time in studying that film. So he's probably the subject matter expert. If he says something about the PG film, I believe him.
Me too.
He's a super nice guy. Let's catch up on the comments real quick before we go off here. Okay, Oissa says, yes, he did, DA. We have a dime novel from the era. When I was young, my idiot sister sold it to a junk store. Well, that sucks. Areen says, the picture of that dog man up on a tree, I've seen that picture before. Was it a German book of tales or other world creatures? I don't know, possibly. Though. Yeah, Bob Foot says, I love the way he says www. Yeah, he kind of stutters to it. He was probably nervous. Carrie's a great guy. Facebook user says, cool. Denise's just got recertification. Josh says, I can do it in mobile. Yeah, but Naomi's tired, so we won't hold this.
Sorry.
So you're fine. We'll just do the giveaway on Saturday. Denise says, just got help typing from one of my kittens. Bob Foot says, what's that new Idaho video? Where can I find it? Josh, if you can find a link to that, you can go ahead and post it in the chat. But I think pretty much all you have to do is Google Idaho Bigfoot. Or if you go to MK Davis's Facebook page, there's a couple of breakdowns of it. Do you mind letting me pull that up real quick, Naomi?
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't want to keep you too long.
No, I'm pulling it up too. So
okay, we go to MK's Facebook page. Sorry, folks. I don't mean to have long periods of silence. I know that's bad, and I'm not supposed to be doing that. But
no, and I'm not helping because I'm being quiet too, and I certainly didn't mean to. I was just wow. He does have a lot of videos on the Patterson-Gimlin.
Yeah, let me see if it'll actually let me share the screen this time. There we go. Well,
Yay.
This will have no audio. that was just a brief snippet of it. I will see if I can find a lengthier version of that video. And I'll post it to my author page. If you're not on my author page, swing by and check it out. Just give it a like and hang out on the page because I post stuff like that all the time. It's facebook.com/DA Roberts. I think that's in there wrong. It's supposed to be DA Roberts author. It is wrong. Good golly.
What the world?
How the heck did that happen?
Somebody had too much coffee before he typed.
Let me fix that. Good golly. I can't believe I didn't catch that earlier. There, fixed it. It's facebook.com/DA Roberts author. Or you can also check out my website, which is daroberts.net. And if you're so inclined, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/DA Roberts author, where we're getting a lot more people involved in the actual writing of the books. You'll have direct input on the outcome of the DA verse, and you'll be able to discuss things like new covers, help decide names for books, help pick Margolin's code name, because that's a thing. There's a lot going on. So check out the different levels of the Patreon, and if you guys want to be part of the Patreon community, we would certainly appreciate it, because that just goes to help make all of this possible. The shows help me do research for the books, shoot videos and things like that. So definitely check out the Patreon. I think you'll find it entertaining, if nothing else. There's a lot going on in there. Facebook user says, back in the mid-'70s, I went to the theater to see a movie about Bigfoot. Was the one with the Patterson Gimlin film, I believe, and that's the one where he's thrown off the horse and started filming until the creature walking across the riverbed. Yeah, that's the one. That is the Patterson Gimlin film. Mm-hmm. That was the one I showed. That was just a piece of the Idaho video. I know it's on YouTube, but I'll have to do some digging to find the full video of it. But I will post that on my author page. So hopefully I'll have that up here very shortly. But Naoma's tired, and I don't want to keep her. Don't want to keep her from getting some rest.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a party pooper.
You don't have to apologize for a thing. I appreciate you so much. You do an awesome job, and it's always a hoot and a half working with you. And I want to thank everybody that's been in the chat tonight. We've had an amazing chat tonight, and it's more than just a chat room. It is like a fireside chat, like we're all just sitting around talking stories, and I really appreciate the fact that somebody was able to corroborate Paramount Faye. It's that I've been looking for that for a while, and I would love to hear, tales about that, or find it in a book where I can read a lot more details, because I've been fascinated by Paramount Faye since I was a kid, because of that episode of Kolchak the Night Stalker, and I could never find out one way or the other whether it was a legit legend or if it was something they made up for the show. But it's going to be awesome. I love stuff like that, and I'm constantly learning new things, and I learn from you guys, and I learn from digging around on the web. I learned from going out and talking to people. Like I've talked to a lot of folks while I was out filming videos, or just going out and driving and talking to folks, and I really enjoy doing this. This is what in my heart what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be able to share stuff like this with y'all, and write books, and go to creepy places, and do stupid things I probably shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it anyway, because my mother said when I was a small child that I would blunder in where angels feared to tread, and that's pretty much been the story of my life. I was always like, oh, let's just do it, and consequences be damned. But I've just kind of always been that way, and always been a little headstrong. Ask my wife; she'll tell you. But I have such a great time doing this, and I love working with you, Naomi. You are so freaking awesome.
Oh,
I can't tell you how much I enjoy it.
We're all awesome here.
And yeah, and thank you so much for being part of this. And Josh, if you're still listening, brother, you kind of stay behind the scenes. You don't come out on the show and talk much, or as much as you'd like, because you're working overnights. But the stuff you do behind the scenes, you are the unsung hero of pretty much everything I do. You help me out so much. And everybody that's been here tonight, I want to thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. You guys make all this possible. I've said it many times before. Reading and writing is a journey that we take together. Both reader and writer, because without one there wouldn't be a need for the other. It's an amazing symbiotic relationship. It is a journey we take together, and I want to thank every one of you for taking it with us. So bless you all. Thank you guys for being here. You guys are the absolute best, and I hope to see you guys on Saturday night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us tonight on DAX Machina. If you ever have an encounter of your own that you wish to discuss, contact us at daroberts@daroberts.net. You can remain completely anonymous if you wish. Pull your covers up tight and keep a nightlight burning bright. Oh, and did you forget to lock your doors?